everybody? Welcome back to the Pylon Show. We are on episode number 107. Sorry for missing last week. But we're back, and it's going to be a fun episode as always. Before we start, I do want to give a big shout out, a big thanks to the original coder of our website. Oh my god, ThePylonShow.com. Diaxis. He's retiring from his role in the show, but he has done so much for the show. A big guy behind the scenes that's helped us to kind of curate everything and put it together on our beautiful website. So Diaxis, thanks so much for helping out the Pylon Show and working so hard for so long. And best of luck in your future activities. Also, while we're at it, another big thanks to our Patreon supporters. Check out patreon.com/ThePylonShow. Big hype. Shane has raised to the God tier support. With this level of support, you could even get a phone call from Tasos. I mean, it's crazy. So thank you, Shane, for that. But yeah, check out patreon.com/ThePylonShow. And that is the best way to support the show. All right. So I have three wonderful guests here today. This should be very, very fun. First up, Vibe, welcome back. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Thanks for having me back again. Looking forward to be here. Let's talk some maps, boys.
Yeah. We're going to be talking maps today. It's going to be a lot of fun. And you know what? Originally, I was going to do 2 Terrans and a Zerg, but I'm like, isn't there some Protoss who has been wrecking in tournaments that I can get here? Isn't there someone, like, not Neeb level, but maybe above that I could get on the Pylon Show? McCanning, how are you doing?
You know, it's tough. As us Protoss players, we're so unbiased. So to invite me to the map pool, it's going to be tough for the Protoss brothers out there. I'm probably going to say it's Protoss favored, but I'm doing well. It's good to be here, and yeah, it's going to be fun.
Thank you for coming. It's great to have you, and congrats on all your recent success. It's been crazy to watch.
Yeah, it's been fun.
And then, of course, Jagannatha Jason, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me on to talk. I'm just glad to be able to talk to people, honestly. Like, COVID's been pretty rough, so it's nice to hang out with some fellow nerds and talk about how terrible this map pool is.
We definitely will get into that. If you guys haven't figured it out yet, today's main topic is going to be talking about the new map pool. I think we'll go pretty in-depth on that and talk about it. They've been out for a little bit, so everyone's played a bit on them. But first, we have to do This Week in Starcraft, everyone's favorite part of the show. So let's go ahead and jump into it. If you guys want to learn more about This Week in Starcraft, it's linked everywhere. You should know this by now. On the website, ThePylonShow.com. It's in the YouTube description. It's in the podcast description. It's absolutely everywhere, and you can get all your information there. Of course, you can always join our Discord if you want to let Alessandro know about a tournament you're running or something like that, and we'll throw it in there. Anything StarCraft. We love to have it. Okay, let's go ahead, jump to page 3. Some of the upcoming events that we'll be talking about: ESL, ASL, GSL, and, well, Gold Team League. We kind of ruined that SL vibe that we had going on, but whatever. Moving forward, ESL Open Cups. We have a big list. Big Gabe has won 215 points off these cups so far. That's pretty wild. I think he's doing better off of just cups than SOS 2-time world champions doing overall. It's people said these cups wouldn't matter, but they do. You can see that. ESL Cup Korea, we had Solar over Trap in number 39. Also over in EU, we had Clem eliminating Hero Marine in that finals. And in NA, we had Solar over Max Pax. Looks like Cham and Nina did make the top 4, but unable to take it home for their region. We have the ASL Season 10 moving forward. There's actually ASL tonight. Make sure you tune into that. But we already had Group A, where Zero and Rush managed to take it out. It was an okay group, but you could probably skip it and not be missing all that much if there's other stuff you want to watch. Group B, though, tonight should be absolutely fantastic. Definitely tune into Afrika TV's YouTube channel. We have GSL Season 3. Spoiler alert, we had a group last night. We don't have it updated here, but it was insane. I think it was the best day of GSL of the year. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, it was really good.
I would agree.
I think you guys were exceptionally funny last night as well. He made me laugh a lot.
It was. Thank you. I appreciate that. It was. I was laughing a lot last night too. I don't. We were just in like a great mood, and there was just like funny shit going on, and I was shocked that everyone was thinking Stats was going to lose the group. It's like he was just in the finals and he's playing great, and like the Protoss meta has come around, so it was like, huh, this is. Anyways, it was a great group. There was a lot of really amazing games in there. I'm sure if anyone's gone to the Starcraft Reddit, they've already seen the nuke. So yeah, check that out. We'll be having the next group, Group D, on Saturday. All right, the Gold Team League Championship 2020 Fall All-Stars. Top 3 players, McCed, Firefly, and Jishi, and 5 recommended players. Solar, SOS, Dream, Cure, and Zaun. Check it out. Wardy's going to be casting. Gold Team League Championship 2020 Fall All-Stars. Yeah, that's the same thing. That's the round of 8 bracket that they're showing. Solar versus McCed, Firefly versus Cure, Jishi against SOS, and Zaun against Dream. Moving forward this week in StarCraft ESL trivia time. Solar is the first player to win 2 ESL Open Cups on the same day. First one was 3-1 over Trap in Asia, and second was 3-0 over Max Packs in the Americas. It's 20 EPT points in the bag for Solar. All right. Congrats to Solar for that. DreamHack SC2 Masters 2020 Fall. Of course, this happened a little bit ago, like 2 weeks ago now, I think. Raynor took out Trap in the finals. This was a sick tournament. If you haven't seen it, go start catching up. Raynor looking complete beast mode this year. We also had Olima League Creator 3-0 over Patience in number 205. This is the greatest place to get StarCraft replays, guys. Go check out their Patreon and support the Olima League. It's normally cast by Maynard, so you can watch it that way as well. We have the OSC King of the Hill Weekly. It looks like the Kings is this Christianer and Special taking some crowns. All right, you can check that out over on that King of the Hill is on Creighton's channel. We also have the Sentimiento Latino tournament. Jim Rising taking that one down 2-0 over Eggs. And the 95th episode of this plays tomorrow. All right, Copa Hyperion. We had Cham win that 3-0 over Paco Mike. Congrats to Cham. Battle of the Americas. Cham won that as well, this time over Eggs 3-1. Cham is like one of these guys that just runs around with a snow shovel scooping up $50 at a time. It's I feel like every week he's won at minimum one tournament every single week. All right, the Audai Weekly. Justice Simon wins once again 3-2 over Theocleo in the finals. Congrats. We also had the Legacy Japan Weekly with Psyarch taking down Winter for Fun 2-1 in that finals. The Golden Team League Championship 2020 Fall. We had Kaizi Gaming in the lead right now. And the All-Star game is coming up that we already talked about as well. So check that out. And we also have the Gold Professional Championship 2020 Tier 2 number 12. Okay, interesting name for that tournament. Jishi over Shigua in the finals. Congrats to him. 4-1 score there. Also have Ladder Heroes, which is now only an NA tournament, with Nina ending up winning that. Let me check where you guys are on this list. Let's see. Nina, Paco Mike, Peely Peely, Cham, Pure Legacy, Golden, Rob, Ranged, Patty Mac, Ryan, Future, Ninja Pez, Panda Bear Me, Riser. What's up, guys?
I used to be a ladder hero. Sorry, I'm not one anymore.
Blizzard buff,
too
Void
much
Rays,
bronze to GM for you, my
yeah,
my
exactly. I'm a ladder hero platinum now.
Well,
My excuse, like, well, I play at the degen hours of NA. So, I mean, I haven't played it. I pretty much only play Korea. So I would never win this. But, like, for a while, when I played NA, I would just play Nina and Jim Rising for, like, 6 hours in a row. And I'd be like, well,
Really?
it's okay. But, you know, they're good players. But at the same time, I kind of want other people.
Yeah. That's right. You do play a lot of Korea. When I was
I
still
only
like
play
really
Korea.
active in StarCraft 2, I actually hit you a lot on the ladder with my barcode.
Mhm.
You won
Now you-
every time. It was
Really?
fucked up.
Are you serious? Oh, wow.
Yeah. We had like good games, but then like a prism with 4 DTs would come in and kill my one cannon in my main. I'd be like, fuck! All right. Well, congrats to Nina. And you guys try harder next time.
Agreed.
The SCV Rush Open. Zipper the Fly 2-1 over Lilikanen in the finals. And it looks like Cham won this one last week, just for people to realize he continues to win tournaments every week, like I said. We have the Sugar 2v2 Cup. We had Prince and DRG Ling 3-2 over Crucial Nug and Hardwell. Congrats to Prince and DRG Ling. Very cool to see that 2 vs 2 scene still alive. Wardy TV European League 2020. Soul, Showtime, Laser, and Clem advanced to the round of 4. $2,500 prize pool hosted by Wardy. Go to his channel and check that out. We have the Exxon Cup Open with Cham once again. 3-2 over Nina in the finals. That is crazy. If you actually add up how much money he's making, that is pretty impressive. Congrats to Cham on another win. We also had Shirshadi Open. Looks like Parting was able to take this one down. Who killed Cham? Let's see. Cham was not in this tournament. All right. Well, I guess we see why Parting ended up winning. 3-0 over Ashbringer. Congratulations. So the Grand Platypus Open. Go Joey. 3-2 over Pez in that finals. And the Magic Carp Masters Cup. Sugar Ninja ended up winning that one over Erez in the finals, taking home a fat $10. This is for anyone up to 4,900 MMR on the NA server. We have King of Battles International Championship. This is kind of all the talk right now. Of course, it had that hype Cyril versus Maru match that Cyril ended up winning. It looks like Group D should be playing later on tonight. It's Rainer, Innovation, Cure, and Nice. Already we have Zoun Rogue, TY Clem, Maru, and Cyril all in the next round. Huge amount of money on the line for that one. So definitely check it out, people. We have the UA Expert Tournament. This tournament is sponsored by UA School, a Spanish college 32-player event. Players mostly from Latin America and Spain. All right, very cool. It looks like Cham is in that one, so we know who's going to take it down. We have the Alpha X Series Special 12. Creator 4-2 over Patience at the end of the day. So congrats to Creator. That's... Creator won a tournament. And I mean, it's been a while.
Maybe it'll help his nerves, honestly. Like, it's like a breakthrough, possibly.
Yeah, I think it is, actually, because, like, people might think I'm joking. They're like, nah, he probably wins tournaments sometimes. No. Every single week, I read every tournament winner. And he hasn't won a tournament since 2012, as far as I know. So,
you can tell,
congrats
too,
to Creator.
When he loses in GSL too, he's so frustrated. He looks like one of the most angry players that you see. And I'm like,
no, it's been said, actually. The pros have all said he is the angriest pro gamer. He's like, he gets really, really furious when he loses. So that is good. I'm actually really happy for him because his play is actually really exciting when he's playing well. So maybe we'll see him do something. Nice. All right, Alpha X Series 24. This is taking place, it looks like today. On the Alpha X SC2 channel. A Laser versus Soul. Oh, yeah, I guess it already finished up. A Laser 5-2 over Soul. All right, congrats to a Laser. Working hard. The Demi C Weekly #1. We have Scyther over Batty Azure 3-2 in that finals. Underdogs 2020 Season 3. Clem versus Marine Lord in the finals, waiting to see who comes up in the losers final with Drogo and DNS still in it. That's going to be over on O Gaming. Just have winner, I'll buy you effing dinner. And it looks like Fnatic wins this week 4-3 over Practice X in the finals, winning $60 of takeout. All right. Some drunk Canadian really putting up those dinners. Also have the other dinner one, the Pizza Pie bi-weekly. Oh, damn. Skillis took out Cham in the finals. And Cham took out Starkiller, so he's the real winner. Starkiller is the actual. You know what? We haven't had Starkiller on the show yet. Cobra, write this down. We're getting Starkiller soon. This is ridiculous. I can't believe I haven't had him on here yet. I could do a show with Starkiller, Future, Raze, and Gerald and just talk about the Pizza Pie bi-weekly for the whole episode. That'd be amazing. I would love that.
Got it.
All right. So, all right. Thank you. So congrats to Skillis winning a pizza. And that's his first pizza, I believe. Yep, that's his first one. All right. The Cascadia Cup Weekly. Some Drunk Canadian presents the StarCraft 2 Cascadia Cup Weekly #1. Prize pool, $50. First place, 35. Second, 10. Third, $5. Oh, some drunk Canadian really putting a lot into the scene right now. Definitely do go check that out over on his Twitch. We also have Gold Team League Championship 2020 Fall. Conversation between rich men and champion. In the all-star individual competition, the 3 Chinese players with the highest points in the 2020 Golden Secondary League fall season are McCanning, Firefly, and Jishi in order. I hope they can show style. I love these translations of the Chinese leagues. Amazing. Looks like Estrella, Dark, Time, Rogue, Cyan, all involved here. Check it out. Lots of Chinese StarCraft going on. We have the CSO Cup. Registrations are open to players of any MMR. Yeah, it's a South African-based esports organization. So if you're in the region, this is a great way to get into some tournaments. We also have La Espira podcast. This is the Spanish Zerg version of the Pylon Show. You can definitely check that out if you speak Spanish and play Zerg. The Archives Book Club from Aorit. They had a new episode actually talking about Mind Gym, one of my absolute favorite books for StarCraft. I'm going to check that episode out. Looks like he had Fear Dragon on, along with his co-host Adroseth. So check that out over on Aorit's stuff. We have Amante's Day StarCraft 2, number 6 plays on Saturday. And it's for Brazilian players only. We also have Singapore StarCraft 2 online 2v2 number 1. Currently signed up. We have, it looks like 5-6 teams. $100 prize pool as of right now. So I'm sure Red Gunner Guy is involved in this in some way. Cheers to him. Yeah, look at that. Organized and run by Red Gunner Guy. Yeah, check that out. It's going to be towards the end of the month. All right, this week in Brood War, we have the BSL Season 10. Group A, Dandy and Boa ended up getting out. Jaeyoon being a bit upset there, finishing in 3rd place. And then Group B, no big surprise there. Bonneth and Eon Zerg advancing from the group. Vadi getting 3rd place, Casper in 4th. Of course, this is the biggest foreign Star League for Brood War. So, yeah, check it out over on Zero's Twitch channel. We also have Foul Play NA Rogues Gallery. It looks like Raz beat Whip recently, 3-1. Congrats to him. And the next match is going to be happening tomorrow. And that's going to be Hawk going up against someone named Red Duck. So I imagine that Hawk is going to absolutely mangle Red Duck. But maybe you want to check it out anyways. Hawk is really good. He's really, really good. All right.
I thought you were making a play on like the names or something there, like a hawk coming to get a duck.
Oh yeah, no, that would be that would make sense too. But it's like it's a Canadian Terran I've never heard of against Hawk, who's like really, really strong. He used to play pro StarCraft 2 also.
Was he a Zerg player in StarCraft 2?
Huh?
Was Hawk the Zerg player in StarCraft 2?
Yeah. Way back at the beginning.
I remember him. Yeah, I played him a lot in Leagues of Liberty.
Yeah.
I remember him.
Yeah. Oh, he's really good at Brood War right now. So. All right, going forward, we have Havachu. Sham2 ran number 50, put up a big prize pool, and a bunch of pro Koreans showed up. So as you can see, the top of the bracket, just completely Korean players. Looks like we had a grand total of 0 foreigners beating Koreans there. So only 1 foreigner got into the round of 8. Rush took out Ample in the finals 3-0. So congrats to Rush. Nice tournament from Sham2. We also have the Brood War G's Weekly. Scan wins again. It looks like he's won the last 3 that we have listed here, but he's won a lot more than that. Congrats to Scan over Casper there in the finals. And then big cheers to Russ Brain for putting it on. We have the Ultimate Battle event. This is where they play 9 maps against each other, the top Brood War pros. And Light takes down Larva. Wow, that is a dominating victory, 7-2. And that is his 3rd win in a row, the best Terran in the world right now. Definitely check that out. We have the Rookie Star League, the RSL. Looks like Slowzerg defeated Maverick to advance. So this is a tournament designed for new players, and it has a 1350 MMR skill cap. So if you're like a StarCraft 2 player that wants to play some Brood War and you've never played before, this tournament's for you. It's 1350 is very, very new. So you'll have good games in there. We also have the BWCL, and it looks like playoffs start next week. Seoul Gaming against Ash, and IRK against Disturbed Mind. So yeah, you can check that out. That's like the oldest running team league in the whole world across all games, I think. It's been going on since the beginning of time. They're on season 51, to put that in perspective. Also have Destiny Star League, ESL Pro, our tournament with younger Grandmaster to Master 2 players, both Code A and Code S. And then the DSL Open Soul League below Masters 2. It looks like just a new tournament series with all sorts of tiers. You can check that out as well. Okay. There you go. That's this week in StarCraft. A lot of tournaments. Cham taking home a ton of money. Congrats to Cham. Yeah. So, on to the actual topics. Before we actually jump into the maps, you guys were actually having kind of like a fun little conversation before we started. I know that you guys were all FaceTiming, trying to use up all of the stuff we were going to talk about. But
True.
so I guess the way to start this, McCanning, you were talking about like No Regrets' take on playing versus streaming and tournament play, because all three of you guys are honestly tournament caliber players. You're all really, really strong. Like, of course, Vibe, a former American champion and just very high level with, well, GM with 2 of the races, right? We still haven't.
I still haven't
quite done it with
that.
Yeah.
How's Terran going?
Terran agenda. He's pushing that Terran agenda.
Yeah. And of course, Jason, you joined. Well, you and Vibe both joined that the guys in the chat tournament. And Jason, you got top 4, which was pretty sick. Played some really good games in there. And McCanning, of course, crushing all comers in the DreamHack tournaments. And the thing is, you guys are actually all like professional streamers, not necessarily tournament people. But McCanning, you were mentioning in our group chat before about how you disagreed with some of the things No Regret said. So if you could kind of explain that.
I don't know. Like, it's like I don't want this to sound like doom and gloom, but basically, I will say being a StarCraft 2 pro, like right now, you guys are talking. I forget exactly what the conversation was a couple weeks ago, but I would say to be a StarCraft pro and even to be a StarCraft streamer, it is mostly a passion project. There are not many people that are making a lot of money. So like if you tried to think about, if I just think about the professional scene, the amount of people that are making over $50,000, even before tax, is not that many, right? And $50,000, it's not bad, but it's not amazing. So I just thought, a lot of people, it's hard for people, especially in NA, to commit to being full time when you have to be so good already. When I think about myself, for example, it's just always a no-brainer for me to be a streamer over a pro. Not that streaming is free money, but it's just so hard to compete at a high level and make decent money. It's basically how I felt. And I don't know. I don't have too much else to say, I guess.
No, totally. You guys would agree with this, I would assume, because everyone here is like really good but chooses to stream.
Yeah, the way I always tell my stream is when you're a pro gamer, you're kind of gambling in a way where you can prep, you can prepare, you can work your ass off. You can you can even mentally be in a really good spot, and you might just not perform on the day that it's needed, and then you don't make any money. Like, you can't really support yourself anymore. And it only takes like that happens to you so many times. It like damages your mental state where you start thinking to yourself, everybody goes through it where they're like, maybe I should retire. I should probably quit. I should stop. I don't know if I should do this anymore. Maybe I should just like move on to the next thing. Or basically you just have like no financial stability at all. And you have to like sacrifice all these other aspects of your life that you might want to do. And I feel like this is the thing too that kind of pairs into the thing where people say if you're too old to be a pro gamer, it's usually because, in my opinion, not because like your mechanics are just bad or your hands are bad or your reaction time. It's because you start wanting more things out of life than just playing on the computer all day, every day, and just grinding StarCraft games, whether you win or lose, and that's it. Like, you want to like, have a relationship or like have a car or like have a place you can live at, pay your rent, stuff like that. And like financial stability is so much more realistic as a streamer, because as a streamer, it's really just like you're consistent. If you're just consistent and you're just being yourself, you'll always, I feel like, usually generate like an audience that will just support you, and you're just there. Like, I can have a bad day and lose every game and be like, fucking suck at this game. It's so bad. And then like my chat's like, oh, feel better, have a sub. But guys, you're great. Wow. But if I lose at a tournament, it's like, okay, well, I'm here. I flew out here and I'm stuck watching now. You know, it's kind of a bad feeling. It's just more realistic to be a streamer, like honestly, for time investment, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we don't want to be pro gamers. Like, if I could be that good, I would do it. But the problem stems from it being very difficult to run a successful or a good stream while improving at a game like StarCraft. Already, when you're like capping at your own skill cap and you're trying to pay attention to Twitch chat and thank donations and subs and follows and all that, it's pretty difficult, and very few people have managed to succeed at that. McCanning being one of the biggest breakthroughs I've seen lately, being able to stream like very consistently and have a really sick run in ESL last season.
Yeah.
How did you manage that with your streaming schedule and everything? You've been up and coming for a long time. You've been like a strong player that just consistently gets better, but this huge breakout performance that you had was just like really impressive. How did that occur while being a streamer?
You know, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. And I don't know if it'll ever happen again. I've said it before and I'll say it again. It was easily my favorite moment for me playing StarCraft ever. And as you know, Vibe and Jason know, it's just, and you, Artosis, but it is hard to improve as a streamer. And, you know, everyone kind of knows your style, even if they don't all, because sometimes you get in your mind that everyone knows what you're going to do. People aren't really religiously watching your stream. So it's like, it's not really the case, but you get in your mind, you think, oh, they know what I'm doing. And plus it's like, yes, could I be playing more hours off stream? Yes. But then it's like, you know, what am I doing? 7 hours on stream, 3 hours behind the scenes. It's just a lot. So, am I missing something here? Was that just never mind.
Cover's throwing up the memes.
But to me, it's just like it was just magical. I don't know if I'll ever do it again. And the thing is, how it happened, I don't really know. I mean, I'll tell you right now, guys, when that group started, I thought, please God, don't let me go 0-7. You know, that was my first thought, right? And then it's like I win my first 2 series, then I play Scarlet and Silky in the same day, and I'm thinking, well, I had this Mothership Brush build. I was saving it for Silky because I'm like, you know, I'm probably not going to beat Scarlet. And you know, you beat Scarlet, you beat Silky. I don't really know what's happening, what got into me, but just was on a magical run, and I don't know. I can't even explain it because I don't necessarily even feel like I'm playing like a lot better. Maybe I think a big thing sometimes when you're playing in tournaments is sometimes some days your mind is just clear and you can think and you can really, you know, maybe you're calm. I'm not really nervous when I'm playing, but maybe I was just calm and thinking well. So I was able to play well. I don't really know, honestly, but it was amazing because, you know, I'd have a fun day on stream, then I'd stream late at night and it'd just be like everyone's complimenting me. So it'd just be like me basking in the glory for like every day for like a week. You know, it's just amazing.
How much did you like practice off stream for that, or if any at all?
It depended who I played. I definitely was. Usually I don't normally do a lot of practice off stream, but I was doing practice off stream. Not that much usually, and I don't play leading up to the game. Like I don't play anymore. I play maybe like versus the AI just to like build up a maxed army and move it around a bit on the map, but I don't play games before my matches. And I will say, Estrella a couple weeks ago said it wasn't a big deal playing every day, but it was kind of taxing playing every day. I mean, maybe because I'm a streamer, but the thing is, it's not just one set. Like it's one set, and if you have a job, you know, there's a lot of things going on. But then it's also like, if I have a game at 5 p.m., I'm thinking about it when I wake up. I'm thinking about it last night. I can't go to bed too late. I mean, 5 p.m., but you know, you're kind of thinking about it. It's like on my radar for like 3 hours before, and then like after, and then I'm decompressing the adrenaline. So it's like, it's maybe just be one series, but like over the course of a week, it does kind of drain you because it's just, you're thinking about it every day for the entire week. Basically.
Yeah, it's kind of like all of your attention is going to it, like whether you want it to or not. And you probably do want it to, right? Because it's such an important thing.
Yeah.
I actually kind of wonder if it's not, because you guys talk about like the financial security and things. The thing is, the StarCraft Pro scene is propped up by a lot of money given for. It's not self-sustaining, I guess, is what the thing I'm trying to point towards, right? The professional tournaments, the prize pool, a lot of this is funded because they want to have a pro scene. Blizzard wants to have a pro scene, right? and I'm sure that ESL is doing their best, or the ESL DreamHack merger. I think it's called just ESL now, but I'm not 100% on that.
I think so.
You know, I'm sure they're doing their best to monetize it and things like that. But it's not a self-sustaining scene. But then I look at StarCraft 1, which is quite different, and it's pretty much self-sustaining for the most part now because all of the pros are streamers. You don't actually have to win prize money. And there's only like 2 or 3 pros that actually make enough of prize money to live, because the prize money is like really low in Brood War. But that's just like what it is. If you're a pro in Brood War, it's like you're a top level player that streams. So I wonder, because if that were to ever dry up in StarCraft 2, right? Suddenly maybe you guys are the only pro gamers left. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I will say, I have a question, but isn't the Brood War viewership quite a bit higher than the StarCraft 2 viewership? Like for like the Koreans specifically?
Yeah, it's definitely higher in Korea. And yeah, I would say overall it's higher for tournaments. Like if you look at Afrika does things a bit differently, where everyone streams it, so all their fans watch on their channel. But when you aggregate all the stream numbers, it's a higher viewership than StarCraft 2, generally.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like it already feels like we're kind of there in the North American scene right now. I mentioned it before, but if you look at all of the top North Americans, Scarlet, Neeb, Estrella, they're all like spending a lot of time in Korea practicing on the Korean server. Like, there's very few people in North America that have actually been able to break through and make enough money to support, actually playing the game full time. So the majority of people in North America that play this game are streamers as well. I think it's a pretty big necessity if you want to actually take this to the full-time level.
Yeah. Have you guys thought about maybe doing something like, I don't know if you've heard about how Nero does it, where one day a week he streams it, but he kind of ignores being a streamer and just practices really hard. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You guys consider maybe doing something like that to try to make sure you're still progressing at a rate that you're happy with? Or
I've thought about it, but for me, I don't know. I've thought like a long time ago. I kind of came to this realization, maybe seriously, like, because I've been streaming for like 10 years. I feel like 5 years ago, I probably was thinking about it a lot more, and I told myself I wanted to do what I was in the mood for rather than schedule it. And there are sometimes I just like wake up one day and I'm like, I really don't feel like being a massive tryhard today. I just want to like talk to chat, relax, have fun games. And some days I do want to do that. And the way I kind of found my balance is, instead of scheduling a full day for that, I usually just like maybe hour number 2 into like one of my streams, I just do it for like an hour right there. And I'm like, all right, I just really want to play some tryhard games here. And it's just random. It just, I don't know, it keeps it kind of fresh too, I feel like, for the audience, because they don't really know. It's like, just, it keeps it kind of like not always like schedule based, where it's always the same thing. I don't know. It's just, I like doing it based off mood, I guess.
Got you.
I do the exact same thing now too. Like, I do it in just like an hour or 2 block. I used to do entire streams where I would do tryhard streams and I just wouldn't look at chat the whole time, but then it developed this like expectation that I would just not have my microphone on some days, and it just didn't feel right to me. So yeah, I just started doing it whenever I felt like it instead.
Yeah, I mean, it's a dangerous line. I remember back in the day when Katz used to, I don't know what exactly Katz did, if he wasn't doing much commentary or if he was usually just like singing the songs that were playing. But I remember he had to like make a post on Reddit and basically rebrand himself and be like, oh, look, I'm doing commentary again. Because if you do too many tryhard streams, then people are like, oh, I don't want to click on this stream because they're not doing commentary. So it's like a kind of a fine line you can walk sometimes.
Exactly.
And I've actually never done the tryhard streams. So maybe I should try it. I mean, that doesn't sound bad for an hour just to close everything off. But I mean, I have a hard time not just like talking and still being like, oh, crap. Like, I got so unlucky this game.
It's hard if you haven't done it. If you haven't done it in a while, it's really difficult, because like sometimes you'll like have your mic off to the side and something will happen in the game and you'll just want to talk about it and you'll just start talking to yourself.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Yeah, I think it would be kind of weird to play like that. If I forgot that I was streaming, then you'd see how angry I really get when I play. Like when I play at night and I lose to this shit, it's like, ah! My wife's like, are you okay? What's going on? Like, these fucking DTs. All right. Okay, cool. Any other thoughts on that before we get into the main subject? Or
I would just say, when you reach a level, even like me, Jason, and Vibe, once you get to a certain level, it's really hard sometimes to feel improvement and to notice improvement as a player, because you sit in this MMR range. Like, let's say you hit 6K, but maybe you're more like a 5.8 to 6K player. You're not a 6, and you just keep fluctuating between it. It's not like you hit something and all of a sudden you're there. So then, like 3 weeks later, a month and a half later, I'm back down to where I was, and that's why it's always such a gift when I'm ever do well in a tournament, because when you reach Grandmaster, and especially to Grandmaster players, this happens. It can be very hard to continue to be motivated when you don't have, you're not like hitting Plat 3, Plat 2, Plat 1. You're just sitting in Grandmaster forever, and you're sitting in between, 5, 7, and 6K. It can be really hard to be like, am I even getting better? Because you just feel like you're sitting in that same spot. And sometimes it's really hard to judge if you are getting better, and it can be demotivating, actually. So, yeah.
I feel like another point on that, for just mindset things, is you have to be really careful too. The more you dedicate to try hard, if you're actually a full-time streamer, the harder you make your next commentary session, because if you actually raise your MMR like 200 by doing a tryhard session, and you go right back into commentating, and you're like, hey chat, thanks for the sub, talking, reading everything, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm just losing 7 games in a row now.
Yeah.
It's I don't know, it's a balance you have to just constantly do. That's something I literally struggle with like every week.
Yeah, I've been the same MMR for about 6 years now, so
yeah. And actually, on that subject, because as you get like really good, like you guys are, it gets harder to improve, because it's like smaller and smaller edges that you're trying to improve upon. But you also have to remember that everyone is improving all the time. So actually, if you maintain your MMR for an entire year, you'll think that you haven't improved, but actually you've improved quite a bit, because everyone's improving. And it's like, if you're rank 150 on GM at the beginning of the year, and then you're ranked 150 at the end of the year, Starcraft isn't dying, which means everyone's getting better, which means that you at least maintained your rank. So you rose at the average rate that people are rising. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can.
Because definitely, if you look at your games a year ago, even if you're the same MMR, you're gonna be like, oh wow, I'm actually a lot better than that, but I'm still at the same MMR. What's the deal?
A lot of times I would tell my stream, because I have a few of my Wings of Liberty VODs where I'm like, I was so much better in Wings of Liberty than I am now. I've gotten way worse than I watched one of my VODs from back then. And I was just surprised, because I was expecting to see myself be impressed. And I was like, holy crap, I was so bad. Oh my God.
It's true. It's true. All right. Well, very cool. Thanks for giving us your point of view on that, guys. I think we'll probably jump into the maps now. Congrats again, McCanning, on that sick run. It was so exciting to wake up every day and have you seen McCanning? It's crazy. Go check Wikipedia,
yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah. All right. So our main topic here today is going to be the new map pool. So let's go ahead and bring that up onto the screen. Obviously, it's a new season. Season 3 of 2020 has begun. And we have a whole bunch of new maps, 4 new 1v1 maps that I'd like to go over. So let's go to the first one here, Jagannatha, LE. And this was made by Tim A. He says, accelerator zones are placed in 4 strategic locations to allow players to quickly change paths. The layout was carefully constructed with the help of Twitch chat. Large rocks... we don't need to go over this map. This map sucks. Large rocks block paths between the accelerator zones. Another path outside a late game expansion is partially blocked by rocks. Okay, let's bring that up on the screen. I want to hear your guys' first impressions of it. And of course, you guys have played on these maps now some. So how these maps are all feeling for your races, the different matchups, things like that.
Banelings are pretty good. Just speed zone them up.
Dude.
Just ram into everything.
Banelings are pretty good. That was the deepest thing you've ever said, Vibe, right there. The best unit in the game is pretty good. Sick. Okay.
There's some huge speed zones on this map, yeah.
Yeah, how do those play out, actually?
You just avoid them. You just don't go near them.
I feel like for Zerg, by the time you get attacked by a lot of stuff, creep is already there, and then you can just ram into them really hard. So it makes sure. I feel like this is definitely an easier Zerg map, honestly.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, this is one of those maps where it's very long lengthwise and very short widthwise. So as a Terran, it's very hard to get damage done because the Zerg just has such a defending advantage with the creep spread. It's already going to be across both ends of the map anyways. and you have to travel so long just to get on his half of the map. So this is just naturally a better Zerg map in TVZ.
Honestly, I think the map pool in total, like not just this map, but all the maps, at least from my perspective, they feel really easy to spread creep on. Like all of them feel that way.
That's because
Like,
Zerg is easy
really-
to spread creep with.
It feels great.
I will say, of the new maps, I think so far this one's my favorite. I mean,
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I do see it is massive, and like it can be tough versus Zerg, of course. I think all the maps are actually a little bit tough versus Zerg, but this map, I actually feel like I have a decent shot at getting these 4 bases here. You know, it's like a ramp, and then it's like another little choke up there. I mean, I don't know. This map, I feel like for my 4 base setup compared to the other 3 new maps, I feel best about this map getting 4 bases up. And I will see. I mean, we'll get to it later on, but this new map pool, I think it's interesting, but a lot of the maps, like, I don't know how to explain it. It just like they seem huge, and all of a sudden, it feels like you have no bases left. I've had a couple of games where, like, I don't know. It's like you're mining 4 bases, and then it's like, where do I take this next base? And you're fighting, and then I don't know. I think there's going to be some real scrappy games in this map pool.
No, I think it's because what Jason said too, because it's really thin. It's not very like width-wise very big. It reminds me of like back when the maps like Ohana used to exist, where like it was really easy to control your side, but then once you had to expand towards your opponent, it got really hard. Like you had to win the fight, basically.
Yeah, I can definitely see the 4 base layout that you were talking about, McCanning. That looks like really reasonably defendable for Protoss, but then like, I mean, those bases that are kind of in the center, like, oh my god, I don't even. Maru be nuking those.
You can set up that pocket base too with like a bunch of cannons if you can get it set up, but yeah, I don't mind.
Turtleneck is disgusting too on this map.
What is?
Turtleneck.
Oh yikes!
Oh yeah, I guess so.
I can believe it. I do. I'm kind of a fan of the speed zones. I don't know. It's at least different. I really don't have a big care either way about speed zones. You know, I'm not a massive guy that's like, oh no, yes, or no or yes, we need speed zones. But I think 4 speed zones in these locations, like I can get behind it.
You need to get some Reddit clips going, dude, with some sped up disruptor shots.
Like, oh, do you know why I like this map? Do you guys know how you actually pronounce the name of this map?
Oh,
it's pronounced. It's quickly, but it's Juggernaut, and you have to say it quick. So it's like Juggernaut. So it sounds like Juggernaut because the origin of the word Juggernaut is actually spelt as the name of that map.
Are you trolling?
I'm not trolling.
Whoa, dictionary.com. Slow down there, buddy.
My chat the other day was telling me it's pronounced like Jaeger. Like it's like and it's like Samantha. It's like, so it's like they're telling me to pronounce it like Jagannatha. So you're telling me I'm completely off,
like
Jason?
Yeah, I looked it up and found on at least 7 different sites. It's Juggernaut.
There's
an A at the end for some reason. Yes, the map maker linked me the source of the name being Juggernaut. Yeah.
So when I get this map, I'm supposed to pronounce it Juggernaut, basically.
Yeah. I think
can't
so.
Tell if he's serious or not, guys.
I literally was not sure of it either.
I think he's serious. He's always very deadpan, so it's hard to know sometimes. But I think
I would troll about a lot of stuff. But
you would never troll about a map name.
I want to brag about this map having my name, dude. I'm gonna make sure.
It's so far away from your name, though. Like
it is a really weird way to spell it.
So when I get this map, I'm supposed to say I'm playing on Juggernaut LE.
Yeah.
I'm just not buying it. I don't know. I'm just not buying it.
You don't know how to read is what's going to happen if you call it that.
Yeah, they're going to be like, what is this guy saying?
They're going to be watching Jason. They're like, he is so arrogant to think. He doesn't even know how to spell. Like, it's so crazy.
I can't tell. We can't wait till we check out McCanning Shade next map.
How are you going to spell that one? It's only going to have an M and a C in it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So overall for well, actually, let me ask this kind of more broad question about this map and just in general, because we're seeing accelerator zones a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Overall thoughts on accelerator zones?
They're awesome.
I feel like you guys are a little bit split.
They're awesome. Just you got to avoid them.
That doesn't sound like they're awesome. If you have to avoid it, that's like.
But Jason, in theory, it should go both ways, right? Like if banelings are chasing you, your Marines are also going to be able to run out just as fast. It's kind of like back to zero. Am I wrong?
But
I would say you're wrong.
If your army is
Well-
outside of the radius of the speed zone, they can use that speed zone to get on top of your army quicker.
Well, yes.
So that's why I
But-
say avoid them, because if you're near them, the lings, they're going to run towards your tanks so quickly that you're going to get less shots off on the lings if you're near
versus
them.
Zerg, yeah. Versus Zerg, I can see that.
Yeah, because it's
Like-
all melee.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm thinking of times when like I'm falling back from like before I enter the speed zone, and then I go through the speed zone, and we're both going through the speed zone. You're kind of similar, you
It
know?
has its uses. It does. Like flying
spe-
drops across the map are infinitely faster if you go through those zones.
Yeah, it's true.
I think
What
they're
do you
fun.
think?
I think they're fun overall. I mean, it like I'm playing it from like a Protoss perspective as well. I think they're pretty fun because of what I was saying to you a second ago. I love that it actually speeds up disruptor shots. That I actually have had a few games that have been really fun where you just like smash an army that you don't expect to hit because it goes so fast. But
Yes.
yeah, no, I think they're for fun purposes. I think they're doing it. They're changing it up a little bit, making a little bit more variety. So
Now,
I would
I have
say just don't overdo it. Is all.
I have a question. Did the first map they introduced with zones? I think they only gave us a slow zone, right, in the beginning.
I hate
Yeah,
slow
slow
zones.
zones to
Slow-
start.
I hate slow zones.
Slow
I
zones
actually
suck.
don't like that. Yeah,
So we don't like slow zones, but we like speed zones.
it just slows it down. I don't know.
No one likes getting slower. It's all about like getting faster. That's
Yeah.
why a lot of Starcraft patches I think are frustrating because they're like, we nerfed like 12 things. It's like, fuck, you made everything in the game weaker. Like, what is the point here?
I actually saw a Void Ray go through a speed zone and it looked like it blinked past it.
Yeah, but then the void ray shows up and it does negative damage, so it doesn't even matter.
It's amazing. What do you think about the sizes of the zones?
Yeah, I think those are for like Zerg specifically. I think that favors Zerg a lot.
Yeah.
Just like because a lot of times what'll happen is you'll have like the fight will happen right as your creep touches them too. So that's like the staging point for where the fight's going to happen too. And it's just I don't know. It seems pretty scary. I feel like this map. But the thing that I think is cool about it, here's like some future logic. I think people are going to realize timing attacks are horrible on this map, and I think this map will just become a defensive macro map, like in the end for most people. Like it's not going to be. It's not going to be like an all-in base map, and in my opinion, I love maps that revolve around macro, which is why, for instance, like Golden Wall, I'm really glad that map's gone because that map did not revolve around macro.
Okay.
You'd rather have Submarine instead of Golden Wall?
Honestly, I vetoed that too, but I think Submarine's a less worse choice than Golden Wall. I hate Golden Wall.
Okay.
Golden Wall is the first map I never played, like on a ladders rotation. I looked at the picture of it and I just vetoed it.
I think that's reasonable as a Terran player, to be honest. Okay, so Juggernaut. Overall balance-wise for your race, all the matchups, I want to hear what you guys are thinking. Like, which matchup do you feel good? Which matchup do you feel bad? Is it a veto? What do you think?
Were you asking Jason there, or were you just
That's
calling
what I
All
thought.
three of you. I want. Well, I have
I'm
three
not
different
gonna
races
veto
on
it.
here, so I'm like,
I just don't know.
Yeah,
I'm gonna.
the map name, I guess.
Tell me the map name is. It's all getting confusing now. I don't know what to do.
Jason, you go first, man. It's your map.
That's
It's true. I mean, I'm not going to veto this map personally at this moment unless some really crazy strategies come out. But I play BattleMech in TVZ, so it's not really a big deal for me to have longer maps because BattleMech isn't really dependent on mutas chasing you around because mutas are just bad versus BattleMech. And then the other two matchups seem fine. It's going to probably, like Vibe said, turn into a turtle map. I see a lot of turtleneck Terrans on this map coming up in the future for sure.
Okay.
Let's
Vibe, how about
say-
you? What do you? Oh, okay. I'm canning you
no.
next.
I gotta hear the Zerg spot first before I
Okay,
get my
okay.
Protoss take.
Yeah, no, I like it. Actually, I don't know if it's my favorite map out of the pool, but I do like it a lot. It's it feels comfortable to spread creep on. Seriously, like because the thin maps are just so easy to get like fully to their like third base by like 10 minutes, 12 minutes. It's like it feels like you just have everything, and overlord spots are super easy. So Zerg perspective, it's really good against Protoss and Terran. ZVZ, I don't know. I don't mind this map at all. This map actually I feel comfortable playing it again in any matchup, and like it feels good too that I can be greedy and shut down aggression with like heavier focus on like tier 1 with just creep spread speed zone because Bane's just can crush, and I feel like it allows you to be a little bit greedier if someone does like a really like awkward early game timing. And then Baneling's speed plus speed zone is absurd. It's crazy, and those speed zones are huge, so it feels good.
I think I think this is. I mean, it's still so early, honestly. I'm sure if you had the same exact episode 4 weeks from now, we might have different answers because it is still really early. But I would say PvZ and PvT, I don't necessarily mind. I do see what Vibe is saying, especially if you're trying to push onto creep, like at that 4th base where that speed zone is. It could be tough, but I think this is one of your best shots as Protoss on this map pool, as we're going to see with the other map pools, to get a nice 4 base. So I don't mind it versus Zerg or Terran right now. I think it's probably my favorite of the new maps right now.
Cool. Okay. It sounds like you guys overall think it's a pretty reasonable map. I got to throw in my 2 cents. I have not played this map, but I like the placement of the zones much better than Deathaura. Like, the Deathaura zones don't feel like they actually come into play, like, very much at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Whereas these, I'm like, well, you can't actually avoid these. These things are, like, really... It's pretty crazy, especially those 2 center ones.
I mean, because a lot of games in StarCraft are, like, side harass. Right? And Deathaura is right down the middle. But on this map, you know, if you're sending things down the sides, then faster.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. We'll move on from Jagannatha or Jagannatha or whatever the fuck we're calling that map. All right. The next map, NightShade LE. Looks like a Maris map. Mara says, NightShade is a typical standard map with 2 third base options and 7 bases per player, and can support a wide variety of playstyles. The destroyable debris and rocks give players a bit of security early on, and destroying them makes it easier to maneuver armies around the map. All right, let's take a look at this map. NightShade. What are your first thoughts about this map?
I'll give the boring answer, whereas it, like it said in the description, it feels very standard. And I mean, it's any standard map's going to feel comfortable to play on right off the bat. And people might find things that might be really annoying. Like I think if you look at either top right or bottom left, there's a cliff that overlooks the side expansion. And I'm pretty sure, like for instance, if like there was like a tank push, you could like siege someone's base right there. And I feel like it makes it a little bit harder if you're going to take the corner base rather than expand in the opposite side of that for both sides. So like if you take the snowy side, more or less, like the opposite. There's some abusable spots, I feel like, but that doesn't even come into play off your first 3 bases anyways. So it's a super standard map, and by then you have good control of the map usually, as long as you're not super far behind. So it feels good to play on.
Seems like there's a very clear third base option in this map, even though the description said there was 2 good ones. Like that triangle low ground third, even as a Terran player, isn't like the greatest third to take. And it's actually kind of a difficult 4th too, because that is a really wide open area.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first 3 bases feel so standard. I feel like if I squinted at this map, I could see like 5 or 6 different maps that we've had in the last couple of years.
I mean, I agree with Jason said. I think the base vibe likes on the low ground is actually something I do not like on this map. I think it's hard to take, and it's so wide open, right below your main base. It's like close to your main, but it can be very hard to get it set up. And then this is one of the maps, well, I think honestly I've had it with most of these maps where once you start getting past 3 bases, 4 bases, you start getting close to the opponent here. Like if you win in a line with your 4 bases, and then they went for the snowy base that Vibe liked, your 4th bases are very close to each other. And I don't know, this map I've had some trouble, I feel like, getting the right 4th base, and I don't know. This map has felt a little bit tougher for me to get actually that clean 4th base, because even the bottom base kind of feels like it's on an island sometimes, and they can sneak army units down there, and it can be sometimes hard to spot. I wouldn't say I dislike the map, but I think I need more practice on it for sure, because I think it's a little bit hard versus Zerg specifically.
It's a pretty small map. Like I'm sure we're going to see probably a lot of early aggression strategies on a map like this. It's got an interesting natural, like it has the ramp, but it also has the wide open area that leads to the 3rd. So there's still plenty of room for people to come in and abuse tank positions. But I mean, as long as the Protoss can hold those ramps, it's actually like not that bad though. So
yeah,
I don't know, like because Protosses tend to put like 1 pylon between their net and the 3rd, and then that's where they kind of set up their shield battery defense. And if you were to go in through the 3rd itself, like that itself is a pretty choked off entrance. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you think of what was that map we had? Was it Ascension? There was a map we had a couple times ago where you had 3 bases and it had cleaner ramps and more choked ramps. I don't remember the name of it. It was recent.
Maybe Acropolis? This
No,
map
no,
looks
no.
like Acropolis a little bit.
I don't remember the name. No, it was not Acropolis,
Okay.
but
It has the same layout as Acropolis, like the first 3
yeah,
bases that you
it's
take.
the third bases. But either way, I think I will say on this map, sometimes I have a hard time getting. I think you can be a little bit tricky on this map. Sometimes I lose track of the army on this map, and you can kind of, as Jason was saying, I mean, the Protoss could guard the third like that, but the third and the natural, I don't know, that little divot there in between your third and the natural, I don't know, it just gets awkward. I could see the tank pushes kind of sharking around, waiting for me to get into the wrong spot, and then if they set up, it could get dicey, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it, to be honest.
Okay. So a little bit more negative on this map than Jagannatha?
Well, for me, they're all going to be a little bit more negative because I think I like that other map the most.
Yeah, okay.
But I don't know. And the thing is, you can be biased too, because I could have had a couple games in this map where I was playing. I can remember I had a game versus Zerg on this map that I just kept losing my fourth base's workers. They'd come in from different angles. I'd try to top base, I'd try the snow base. I just kept losing both sides. And, I could just be haunted from that game, and maybe it's not that bad. So, again, I don't know. Maybe give me another month, and I'll say this is the best map ever created.
So, all right. Well, we get McCanning's view on the map right now, but Vibe, how do you feel about the Zerg matchups just overall on the map?
Yeah, I like the lots of like flank paths. I like the snow area where it's so wide open. It feels good for like flanks and just like surrounds. I really like how they didn't actually, if you notice on like the bottom and the top, they didn't fully connect the weeds, so it makes it really easy to creep spread. Again, that's stuff like that it makes your life just easy, super easy to like fully coat the map super fast without even having to have overlord spotters.
Yeah.
And then even like the middle part, the very center of the map where there's like a full brush, there's cliffs next to it you can jump up and down, so it's super easy to spread this map up. And then this map too, I feel like if we're talking like, I know you guys like the 3 base where it's just in a straight line, but like if you take for Zerg, if you take a fast fourth, it's so easy to cover everything. It's so close together. And then if you get rid of those rocks in front of your fourth, it's really easy to reinforce with like good mobility everywhere around your base. So, and then, yeah, like you guys are saying too, it's not that very much of a long map. So I feel like it gives Zerg a lot of variety because you can do aggression if you want to. Like it's like a smaller map, definitely, I feel like if I'm going to do like a Ravager Island or something like that, I have more of a chance for it to really break somebody. So I like it. I think I like the other map better, the Jagannatha or Jagannatha. But yeah, this map's pretty good too. It's standards, and I like standard maps mostly.
Okay, cool. Jason, what about you?
From Terran, I don't see any reason why I would ever veto this map. This seems like a pretty good Terran map. Any small map with a lot of good tank positions is going to be something that's good for Terran, especially aggressive Terrans, and especially Terrans that play Bio and TVZ. So, yeah, looks good. I don't have too much to say about it.
Cool. Yeah, well, it definitely isn't as spicy as that first map. So,
yeah.
All right, we'll move on to the next map. This one called Oxide LE, made by the Music 246, and the music says, a smaller map with rocks that lengthen attack routes early game, fast natural base to natural base timing, and map becomes high tension once the rocks are down. All right, let's take a look at that one. It's very rusty. What are you guys thinking about this one?
I honestly, I feel like this map is very similar to the first map we looked at without speed zones. Like in my opinion, to a degree, it feels very thin again, and like I was saying before, as like a general theme of this entire ladder pool they added is it's really easy to spread creep on it and have like all vision with Zerg, because I can just be like 3 overlords on the right, 3 overlords on the left, and then like 6 tumors just going down the center, and I just see everything. So. It feels very easy to be defensible here. Like it always know what angle I'm going to be hit from, and as long as you have a decent scout in their base with Zerg, it's really easy to like make a judgment call as to like where you need to be at any time to defend yourself.
Okay.
I don't know how I feel about the fourth base options on this map. Like the fourth base on the low ground from the main, like the triangle one, that one is really far away from your obvious third base location, and the way it wraps around, like I don't know if you can see the little terrain blocker at the fourth base, but that makes it like quite easy for somebody to like run up there and get a really good position up on you. just because of how far away it is from where your army should naturally be positioned. But other than that, I agree. It's pretty similar to the first map we looked at, like, except no speed zones.
Yeah. And look at it really fast again too, in bottom right and top left, how they have the weeds again. They keep spreading them. This is like another theme of this, and I'm just gonna say, as Zerg for creep spreading, it makes it go so much faster. If for whatever reason you're being pressured, and like let's say like a Viking or a Phoenix or something killed your overlords, you can still spread your creep super easy.
So, what I'm gathering, next time map makers, let's make it a little tougher to spread creep.
Dude, I love it.
We're figuring it out here. Jesus,
spread creep so easy.
I never even thought about it before. The ease of spreading creep, and now I'm like, Jesus, let's work on that next time. I will say, a map pool like this, or a map like this, I don't know. I don't know if I completely agree. It's that similar to the first one. I kind of see it to an extent, but I agree that fourth base is really, it can be very hard on this map, and sometimes you get really tunneled on a couple of bases here. It's kind of funny because it looks like you might be able to get to a big macro stage, but this one, again, if you take that low ground fourth, and then I don't know, your bases start to get, like, once you get past like 4 bases, your bases start, I mean, I guess that's any map, but something about these new maps, I swear, like, once you start getting to the later stages, it feels like you're just on top of each other when you're expanding. And I will say, though, I kind of like how this map, I guess we already have Pillars of Gold, but this is now, there are 2 maps now where there is a ramp to your natural. It used to be Golden Wall and Pillars of Gold, and now this one you have like a ramp going up to your natural. So that always creates a little bit of a different dynamic when it's not just flat going into your natural, and it's kind of nice for Protoss. And it changes some of the matchups. Like PvP, the meta usually is you low ground gateway expand, but now I don't know. It's like meta on meta where everyone goes gateway scout to block the fast expansion. So it's meta on meta, but it kind of introduces some different things when it's a ramp to expand. Maybe Zergs won't all in you as hard on this map because they have to go up a ramp, things like that. But I don't mind it.
Another thing too I noticed about these maps is I don't know if you guys have experienced it a lot yet. I don't do it myself that much, but I wonder how much you're going to get Nidus into a lot, because every map I've noticed on these new maps is like a humongous main base. They're always ginormous, like just huge. So
well,
I love that. Big main bases are my favorite thing in the world. You know how many Thors get stuck in my main on all the other maps? Too many.
Jason, when you're floating 1,000 minerals, you can fit 2 command centers in your main. That'd be nice.
Can't see bonus.
I swear, okay, not to come after you, Terran players, but I swear that's a Terran thing. When a Terran macro slips, they just throw a command center in their main base. I don't know. I see it happen time and time again. I don't think it's part of the build. They just slap a command center down. And they got 1,000 minerals. It wasn't really a shot at Jason. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I agree with that. The main bases are big, but the thing is, Vibe, you got to remember, this is the Void Ray meta. All the Protoss, if we just open a Void Ray, clear it out. Yeah. I mean, go Nidus, man. But we're going to have like 3 Void Rays.
I mean, ever since everybody figured out where the lurker button is, I haven't gotten Nidus on ladder, so it's hard.
Well, as soon as you say that these maps are good for Nidus, I just think about Rogue winning another world championship. That's his jive right there.
We don't see that much Nidus, I feel like, anymore. It's kind of falling out of flavor again.
I think it might be because, honestly, main size. Because like on this map, I think I've done it before when I played Protoss, and most of the maps have similar sizes. You need like 6 pylons, like spread out to have full vision of your main, and that's like a massive investment. And if we're talking early game, like all ins, there's a good chance that if that just goes noticed, or like it's just not a priority there, maybe the Zerg hid the build really well in some way. There's potential for it again, I feel like.
Yeah, actually, to extend on that. Actually, you can almost hide things easier on these maps because it takes so long for that first overlord to get into the main base that, like I when I was playing my one-off race game of Zerg, I thought, man, Zerg needs a buff to overlords. I thought, Jesus, can't get into this main base.
You gotta go through the speed zones. Oh wait, there are none on this map. Rip.
I found it actually a little bit interesting that you guys were saying that it felt a lot like the first map that we looked at, because I guess my brain looks at the first map and I look at it like McCanning said, where I look at the shape of the first 4 bases. I'm like, oh yeah, that seems very easy to take. And then I look at this and that 4th base does seem a bit out there. So I'm just wondering, is it just the thinness of the map and the location of 5ths, or
it's like the attack path seems similar to me.
Yeah, it's like for me, like I like the sequence of like scouting and spreading is just exactly the same. And then control wise, it feels really similar. And at least from like a Zerg's perspective, if I have good creep, which these maps like really incentivize, it's like a safety net for expanding. Like it feels like I can take any base I want as long as I have a full screen length or like 2 screen lengths of creep in front of it. Like I don't feel intimidated to expand wherever I want. The speed zone not being there though definitely does change things in terms of like making it, I would say, maybe more like tech related for Zerg would be more of incentivized. And so you don't really want to maybe just say like Ling Bane is heavy or something like that, because you're gonna get punished more, I feel like, on the Oxide map.
Okay. Which map would you guys say that, or rather, what race would you say that this map favors? What's best on this map? Is it a Zerg map because of these bushes and the straightforwardness of the creep, or
It feels like really mutual to me.
yeah?
Yeah.
I think
That's good.
I think it could depend on your playstyle as well. Like if you're a Protoss player that loves going Glaive Adept, I think maybe you'd have some decent success versus Zerg on this map. But
okay.
Someone like me, I want to get to Sky Toss. Just A move them. And
yeah, baby.
if I can't get that 4th base up, I'm just out of my comfort zone. So
I love how honest you are. It's amazing. Something that we don't really talk about all that much. What do you guys think about the rocks on this map? Like just in general, the way that they've been using rocks, and like a lot of the rocks nowadays it's like every map has a choke that's going to be opened up more and a path that gets opened up via rocks. So what do you think about that? Because we see both of those here, but it seems to be like just a regular thing map makers are doing.
They seem to be like pretty normal like rocks to me, like the ones at the 3rd to reduce the size of the choke. Like that's a pretty normal thing to see, I think. And the only weird rocks are the ones like right at the bottom of the natural, but those are like the really high HP ones, I think. So I could be wrong on that though.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they seem pretty standard too. I feel like you have options as well. I don't know, like you basically you're gonna fixate and focus. If you're gonna play defensive and you're gonna want to like from a Zerg's perspective, if I'm gonna take like the top left base, if I'm spawning a top right and I'm gonna take top left in a straight line across the top, I'm probably gonna want to focus down the rocks between my 3rd and 4th, and vice versa. If I'm gonna take the more of a triangle expansion to my 4th base, I'm gonna want to focus on the rocks. I would say especially the very middle ones, not the ones covered in shrub, but the very middle ones, because that's like a massive counterattack path right there that I can abuse. So I feel like it really depends on your style. Like if you're going to play a low tech, like heavy Ling Bane style, you definitely want to get rid of them. But if you're going to play a style that's more tech heavy, I guess, which is not as common, but I feel like you could just leave them up for a while. It depends how you play, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. Zerg definitely needs to kill the rocks at the bottom of the natural ramp, because if Terran puts tanks behind that and then uses the choke to the 3rd, that you need to get rid of for sure.
But are those the high HP rocks?
I think they have 2,000 there. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah, because we definitely do see that like occasionally in GSL, where some Zerg is trying to kill the rocks and then the tanks appear behind him and the Zerg loses the game.
Yeah. Well, the thing that sucks too is if you actually go for like Hellions behind it, you can actually shoot over it too. So if the Terran's really active about trying to prevent that, they can definitely keep them going, probably, if that's their focus.
I think we probably just need a buff to queen damage then, so that the Hellions...
Yeah, let's increase that range. Let's go. Yeah.
Maybe less cooldowns on creep, so it's easier to spread.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go. Speed up that creep again.
Whatever happened to that idea of auto spreading tumors? That's what I want to know.
Actually,
right?
I would hate that. That would suck.
That's like the most satisfying part of playing Zerg. It's like you're like, dang, I got a nice creep spread right now.
I want to right click my creep and my injects, so I don't have to do anything macro wise. I just sit there and watch everything happen.
The map just grows. All you have to do is stop droning at 60 and make some units, and then re-drone. It'd be amazing. Oh my god, everyone's a pro gamer. Okay, any final maps on final thoughts on Oxide?
I started like 0-6 on this map, so it's in my doghouse. That's about it.
Okay.
I like it. Good map.
Yeah, I like it too.
I will say, just as a general thing, not to go anywhere, but there was a period of time. This is kind of like almost a summarizing thought before, but I'll get into it now. Why not?
Yeah.
There was a period of time. I think more is like HOTS. But there was a period of time where I legitimately felt like every single new map pool we had was somehow worse. I mean, usually like that happens where you feel like it's worse because it's like new and it's changed. But like I swear in HOTS, we would have like some really bad maps, even like back when we used to have 4-player maps and stuff, and they would. Oh, Blizzard's favorite thing would be to keep the worst map in the map pool. I swear they did it just as like a joke. They would always bring the worst map in the map pool to the next season. It was like they were just playing with us. It was like, okay, there's no, it'd be like your first veto. They're like, yes, this one stays for sure.
Remember how long Arena lasted?
Arena, I did not mind, actually.
Yeah, because you probably built Tempest in your main base and floated them across the lane.
I think Arena was when I could make one Mothership core and I'd kill your Reaper and I'd win the game. Early game. But now, I will say the last couple of years, kudos to the map makers, because honestly, the last like 2 or 3 years, I've never really been like, wow, this is just so much worse. This is a terrible map pool. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but there was a period of time in HOTS where I literally felt like every map pool was worse than the last map pool. But maybe now I'm just older and I don't care, but I honestly feel like most of these map pools are pretty good.
Well, they've done a really good job the last 2 seasons of actually getting a good distribution of small maps, medium-sized maps, and large maps, I feel. And if you compare that to earlier this year, even like there was like map pools with like all large maps. So this one just feels so much better to me as a Terran player.
Yeah, you are being oddly positive for a Terran player. Did you have something to do with choosing these maps?
I did judge this map pool, I think, for a team.
That's how you get your map. That's how you get your name after a map. I got you.
But I judged like 3 of them though, and some of them ended up being bad anyways. So.
I don't know. I will say from some sources, I've heard that originally I heard this was going to be a Terran map pool, and now I'm hearing some of the Terrans say it's a Zerg map pool. I'm not really hearing people say it's a Protoss map. I'm just going to throw it out there. I guess I'll just throw it out there and just let it sit, you know?
Protosses don't have map pools though. Distance is irrelevant when you have warpins, so it doesn't matter for Protosses.
Okay. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't think we can call anything a Protoss anything until Protoss finally wins a tournament again. Still waiting on that.
I love how you completely hate Protoss in Brood War, and then it's like you're on the Protoss agenda in Starcraft 2.
It's not true! People say that. It's not true. What I want to see is every race win tournaments. That's what I want to see.
Yes, but you definitely back up Protoss a fair amount.
Because they don't win anything. Someone's like, oh, they won a super tournament in the last 3 years. It's like
that's Jason probably on his alt. I don't know.
Oh man. All right, so that's Oxide. The last of the new maps, Romanticide. Morris again.
We actually have a meme map in between the two. Let me pull this up real quick. You know how Jason has his own map? Well, we got one for McCanning.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
McCanning LE. Oh, shit.
Okay, look, I could get behind it. I could get maybe it needs more yellow and red to fitting with the color here, but look.
Yeah, but I think it's pronounced McCanning though, so does it count?
I think we need like 2 less N's in there, and then people will get it right. I don't know. People always botch my name in unreal ways. Look, the way you have this, you got to have it like nothing near my name. Then I'm going to take credit for some Italian pronunciation. It's mine.
That's how you pronounce it.
Just give me an MC and then end with NG, and I'll just say that. This actually is MCanning, believe it or not.
Yeah. That's this is you have to pronounce it with the Vietnamese pronunciation, and it comes out to MCanning.
Actually, there's a tribe in Madagascar that pronounces it. It's actually MCanning, believe it or not.
She pronounced Protoss should be nerfed.
Amazing. Okay, so Romanticide. Morris again made this one. Romanticide is a macro map with a large or a slightly shorter rush distance than normal. The maze of rocks and line of sight blockers in the middle path offer a lot of positional opportunities. The mineral wall node values are set at 10. So let's take a look at Romanticide.
Can I just say this is the most beautiful map I've ever seen in the history of StarCraft. Look at this map. Wow. Look at the purple, Artosis. Look at it.
It's cool. It's cool looking.
It is purple.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when the game loads up, it's also bright. It feels it does feel like a pretty map when you're playing on it. I can agree with that.
I want to frame it.
I like when it's a pretty map. Like I think it was NightShade that. Yeah, like NightShade. I look at that map. I'm like, it's a little bit drab, right? The other 3 though, I think look really cool.
No, Oxide's like
I like the off
rusty.
colors.
Is it
Yeah,
rusty?
I like that.
All right.
It's called Oxide. It should look rusty.
I know.
Right?
You can't have 4 Romanicides. They'll think, what is going on? It's too.
As long as they don't have any maps where you like literally have to turn the gamma down because it's too bright. Like Eternal Empire was the perfect example of a map that was so incredibly bright. I actually needed to wear sunglasses on that.
Really?
map.
I never had an issue with that map. So
Well,
yeah.
What was the name of the map? There was a map a few years ago that was like, it was a terrible map, but it had like dead leaves everywhere, and it was like orange and white. Map was
Dead leaves?
beautiful. Yeah, it was like God, the map was so bad. I remember losing every game on that map. It was like Blood something, I think.
Blood Boil? No, that's a snowy
Blood
map.
Boil, yeah.
No.
Right?
Was it? It was a
I'm
snowy
We've done
map.
the same. There was a bad map I thought in HOTS, and I thought it was also called Blood Boil. I don't know, something with that map name. I get myself attached to it. I don't think it's Blood Boil.
Let me check. Okay, I'm
It's gonna be Blood Boil.
Yeah, Blood Boil had the in-base natural.
Yeah, no, it was Blood Boil. It was Blood Boil.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm.
Damn, you're good.
Oh God! I just
Yeah, I
Googled
thought that
Blood
map
Boil
was
and they gave
super
me.
pretty when it came out.
I just tried to Google Blood Boil and they gave me a massive zip on Google Images.
I
I gotta go, guys. I gotta go.
Good.
Well, that's basically what that map was for playing on it, anyways. But I always thought that was a really pretty one too. Anyways, all that aside, Romanticide, beautiful map. But how does it play? How do you like this
I
one?
just have a question to Vibe and Jason. I don't know how much you guys have played this map, but I have this issue. I think it used to happen on, funny enough, Thunderbird, which kind of gives me the same vibes of the mineral patches out there. But when I have 2 bases mining, and you have your main base rallied to your natural, the very far mineral patch, your workers get like bugged behind it for a while. You guys get that as well?
I haven't noticed it.
It's just like a normal rally, but then they're just like caught back there. I think it used to happen on Thunderbird as well. Like they just like it'd just be I'd have my main rally to my natural because I have 2 bases, and like if it's on the very far right mineral patch where you would normally have it, they would just they would derp behind it for a bit.
You're talking about top left spot?
Either spot, I think.
Okay.
This map might have a thing too where when I was playing Protoss, like I couldn't build pylons in certain spots where you should have been able to build it. Like it was like just unbuildable terrain. And I don't know. It might be this. I'm remembering that kind of poorly, but that happened to me like on day 1 of the new season of this season, and I think it might have been this map. I like the natural and like the base below the natural.
I don't know about that.
Huh.
I mean, I know what you're saying, but I
I know
haven't
these-
had that issue.
I know the bug you're talking about. It's happened to me on other maps where SCVs
worker
just
thing?
randomly get stuck behind.
All right. Well,
weirdly
now keep
positioned
your
mineral
eye out
lines.
for it on this map now.
Yep.
Okay, but to talk about the map, this is one of the maps. I mean, you obviously see a 3 base here, but that 4th base on the low ground. Also, I do like the idea. Like basically, what this map maker wanted was if you mine out that the mineral patches, you can take that aggressive base if you want to put on pressure. Like it'd be good for like a Terran going for like 10 Rax Marine versus Zerg or something to get across the map. This map, I like playing macro, so this map, it's okay, I think. Again, I got to get more comfort with what I think is the best 4th base to take because there's some potential on the low ground, but it also feels so wide open. But then like that 4th base, I don't know. They can kind of like, they can be on your 4th base pretty quickly. They can be in your natural. I don't know. I don't dislike this map, but I think this map, you're definitely more prone to aggression and running into trouble.
I don't know if you guys will experience this, but this is something that I've experienced on this map as well that I've never had happen to me ever in Starcraft before. But if you look at the main natural, then you go in like a straight line down from like to the what looks like it could be your 5th base or something, like in the middle of the map. I always forget that expansion exists. Like I honestly like expand around it. I'm like, oh shit, I have a free base over here. I forgot
one right
I
below?
actually forget that too.
Yeah,
all the
it's like below
time.
the natural. I never take
Is
it.
it because it doesn't have a purple circle? Like you need a purple circle under every
Literally,
base?
I just don't know it's there. I'm like, oh fuck, there's a base there. But like yeah, I think this map is good though. I like it. It's the mineral patches between the rich base and the very center to like your 3rd. Those only have 10 minerals per patch.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's actually not that hard to defend because you have high ground in every angle, and one of them is still also blocked by more mineral patches and rocks. So it's not that crazy. I actually go for that almost always as my 4th on this map because it just feels good.
Really?
Yeah. Again, the thing that makes me always feel good though is once again this map. Look at the bushes. I feel really good about creep spread. And it feels so good to be like, damn, I feel like I could take any base I want as long as I have creep like just really heavily covering the map right now. So I love
getting
the
through
rich
the
gas.
middle is a little bit of a pain. Those are bushes in the middle, right?
No,
Or are
well,
they just terrain blockers?
You can
like
jump like over the rock and then you can go between the bushes. There's no actual full line of sight blocker.
you just keep moving.
Perfect.
Yeah, so you can get full creep extensions without overlords. It's actually really fast at spreading creep.
What do you think, Jason? Which fourth base would you take on this map?
Honestly, all three options for a fourth base are pretty good for Terran. I mean, maybe the one to the right of the main, like all the way to the right on the low ground. I don't think that's the greatest, but
yeah,
getting the mining out the minerals, like you said, and then getting the high Vespian geyser is really good because that base itself has 3 ramps leading up to it, and it also connects very fluidly to the natural. So you can bounce between your natural ramp and then the ramps to your fourth base like very quickly, and tanks can cover that area quite easily as well. So super macro map in my opinion.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of good macro games so far on this map.
Huh.
So
Okay.
do I.
I was gonna say I have not. I gotta experiment more with that forward base thing because, I mean, I do see there is destructible debris on like their side. Like they could break those rocks, but it's kind of tight. Maybe that is the safest base to take, that forward one. If you like, I'm thinking as a Protoss on the third base, maybe you make a couple gateway full wall on the right hand side at your third, and then you take that as your fourth. It might be okay. I don't know.
Yeah, if you take that
dude.
base and you secure it, you're guaranteed the base behind it as well. Because like, it's so easy to just run down there and defend that as well. So,
things to think about.
Where do you think this goes as far as favored? Which race is going to be strongest on this map so far?
I almost every game I've played on this map, it almost always turns into like a war of attrition. Like literally, like both players just like fortify their locations because it does feel like not that challenging to defend on this map. And then I don't know. I feel like every race has a chance, but I feel like this map will generate like really good macro games again. It like has that standard feel where like you can actually have a real game out of it, and like for like since there's like ramps like leading up to the third and the natural, I feel like it might be questionable about how hard it would be to like all in somebody on this map, and in terms of like if you want to go around that to be on the high ground, you have to go all the way around the middle up to the top and then back down through the third base into the natural again. So your distance to attack is super long if you want to avoid the ramp. So if I feel like it just comes down to like who can play the late game better, if it's not going to be like some type of a weird all in, which I think is really fun because I think every race has a chance.
Cool.
Yeah, this map's it's got the 3-base Thunderbird layout, but it doesn't have the mineable minerals like at the third like Thunderbird had.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say I think that I actually think Terran will do decent versus Zerg on this. I mean, I guess it comes down to like how easy this middle base is. Like I think if Zerg is able to get this rich gas geyser in the middle, then maybe it becomes a Zerg map. But I think there's decent spots. I mean, it is kind of open on these fourth bases, but I feel like a big Terran push, like 8 racks, 10 racks type stuff versus Zerg could be really hard to hold on this map. I don't know. I haven't played this map of all the new maps. I haven't played this one as much as some of the other ones, but yeah, I mean, I see the points. I think maybe this is more of a macro map than I thought originally, but I don't know. This map, I feel like it's tough. I mean, Vibe's saying he's having these long stalemate games, but I feel like this is one of the maps where it gets, I don't know, it gets tough to take the bases.
One thing to be aware of too in ZVT is if you break the rocks in the middle of the map, like those big long ones, and then they're like the other little ones just are like in front of like the 5th base area. That's so much wide open surface area you can abuse. So if you have like full creep spread there, and the Terran's going to push you, and you have like every attack avenue at whatever way you want to go, it's extremely scary for Terran to push there. I think if the Zerg has control of the game at that point, like of their side at least, like it's a big wide open area.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I feel like once you get past to like 4, sorry Jason, but I feel like once you get past to like 4 bases, I don't know. I mean, if you have that middle base, I feel like this map though, I don't know. I feel like I don't know what I think. Jason, go just save me right now.
I was literally just gonna say I like the map pool. It's a good map pool for Terran, I think.
Yeah.
I actually have a thought about this map with that rich geyser base. I'm interested, Vibe, that you say that that's actually kind of the easy one that you like to take as your fourth, because if you look at the history of rich Vespene geysers, like I believe the first rich geyser map we had was, the hell was the name of that map last year, where it was all Ravager all-ins because it was like the third base for Zerg.
Oh, it was
Yeah, you guys know the map, and then
was it
The low
Everdream?
ground third?
Was it Everdream, the one we just had?
no. I don't think
Oh,
so.
it was the golden one. It was World of Sleepers, I think.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
one I'm
World of
thinking
Sleepers.
about, yeah.
That's it. So that started with the rich geyser that was too close, and Zerg was taking that as a third, and it just was like kind of a silly map, right? But then after that, I feel like every rich Vespene map, the rich Vespene was in an area that was pretty damn hard to take. And it was always like kind of towards the middle of the map, right? So it became like much less of an issue. But then the way you're describing this, and now that I'm kind of looking at it through your eyes here, Vibe, what you described, how it's like all high ground and you can just mine out those minerals and it's pretty defendable. How is that going to affect this map? Because I think you're actually right about the base layout. That does actually look really reasonable to defend, but it's a rich geyser. So it's like, is this going to mess up the map over time?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you could do some really high-powered timings, like maybe like lurker heavy, but like pushes will be crazy on this map, or something like that. But I think the big theme about this ladder pool is I think it makes everyone feel good because like, except for Protoss. Protoss is just kind of the addition, but like Terran and Zerg, Terran's like, I love this map pool because it's really small and I feel like I can be aggressive and control it really well. And Zerg's like, I love this map pool because it's really easy to spread creep on. So it gives both players like an advantage that they feel like they have, and it's gonna they both are real, but I feel like it really just comes down to like, the first. I feel like the biggest thing about this entire map pool, like the theme of these maps that are like a bit smaller, is like the first push is gonna dictate the game really hard. Like if the first push goes well, it's gonna have more severe like implications as to like how the game is gonna go, either Terran favorite or Zerg favorite from that point on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So, overall, from the 4 maps that they just added in, what is each of your favorites? I know Jagannatha is yours, McCanning, but what about you other guys? What is your actual favorite map in this pool? From those 4 maps?
I don't want to vote solely off of how pretty the map is, but I do think Romanticide is the best map for me. It fits my playstyle the most, which is
it looks the
like,
most interesting to me, actually. Like just looking at them and knowing I'm going to commentate on all of these maps, I'm like, oh, not just the look, but the shape of it. I actually really like what Vibe was saying with that being the 4th base and that can be in your center of defense. I like it. It looks cool.
Yeah. I think this is probably my favorite map too, because out of all the maps I've played, this map every single time almost always creates a game that's just like really long, and it's like that war of attrition battle where you just have to like take good engagements later on in the game. Like I would say my average game time on this map is like 20 minutes plus. Like it feels really fun. Yeah, it's really this is actually the most fun map pool in my opinion out of the whole map pool.
Huh.
Well, if it shows to say anything, I mean the Zerg and Terran seem to like it a whole heck of a lot. That's what I'll tell you. I will say, I have the. I mean, it's still so early. I mean, I think it would be okay to have like at least a side episode in a month and a half from now. 2 months from now with other players to see how they feel about the maps, just to check in on it. Because the early things I have heard from other people is people generally like this map pool more than the last map pool. Is what I'm hearing from people. And I mean, honestly, I'm one of the guys that I need some time. I'm not really sure how I feel about most of them, but. Yeah, I think
it's hard
this
to tell if they're just
promise.
saying that because Golden Wall's just out of the map pool, though.
But they kept Submarine. I don't know how you guys hated Golden Wall way more.
You don't like Submarine?
Submarine got vetoed way more than Golden Wall, and I hate Submarine. Are you kidding me? I always love that map.
Actually, it's interesting you say that. Like, oh, why don't you talk to some people months down the road? Because normally when new maps come out, I just am like, okay, let's talk about the new maps. But oftentimes I do it before the season even starts, and then it's screwed up because we just have to guess. But
right.
So I kind of plan this so that you guys would have some games on the maps.
Right.
But I did want to this time talk about the maps that they kept in as well, to just kind of go over that. Because these 4 are joining the pool, but then they're also keeping Submarine, Deathaura, in Pillars of Gold.
Yep.
So, yeah, I wanted to just like get your guys' thoughts now that you've played those maps a lot and they're going to be here for the whole season. Just how these maps have actually developed, like a more fixed opinion on those. So if we could go over those, that would be great. Let's start with Deathaura. I mean, everyone knows Deathaura. Everyone's seen a ton of games on this. Everyone's played a ton of games on this. It's the one with the zones in the center. We'll bring it up on the screen. But yeah, what do you guys think about Deathaura at this point? Do you like it being kept in the pool? How is the balance for it? Are you enjoying your games on it, etc.?
If I'm not playing Protoss and getting cannon rushed on it, I love it. That was the worst cannon rush map though ever.
This is a tough one to defend cannons on.
You as the
winning
Protoss
it.
player.
Yeah.
In a PvP. Okay, let's get the book out. He's talking PvP, guys, not PvZ.
PvT too. Those cannons can reach the mineral line almost. Like it's really
as they
close.
should.
Like look at that main base. Look how thin that thing is, dude. It's ridiculous. But
PvP, this map's good for.
It's not only that the cannons can go on the low ground, it's that there's no room on the high ground to build literally anything.
Okay, is that all you have on that map, Vide?
No, I think it's
My vibe is like, I don't like PvP here. I'm like, whoa, I'm so glad that you're here, vibe. Thank you.
No, I like it though overall. I feel like early game like 12 pulls, like early ling aggressions and stuff, they can be a little awkward sometimes, but it's still very doable. The fact that the natural ramp is super close to the hatchery makes it really easy to defend cheese because you can easily tuck your queens away and it's not hard at all. I don't really mind the expansion locations at all. I feel good about them. I don't feel like they're hard to defend. I feel like the biggest thing about Zerg is Zergs who struggle, I feel like all you have to do literally is just get better creep spread. If you have good creep spread, it's so easy to take bases, and none of these bases here feel awkward. So overall, I like that they kept this map. I think it's one of the better ones in the last map pool. So I like it.
I think there's way too, and this might just be me, but I think there's a lot of strength behind that double Vespian, rich Vespian gas base, to the point that like if you just get that base early on, it is incredibly difficult to catch up. So I don't know how you feel about having two of those geysers, but overall, I like
that is the weird thing to add in, I guess, isn't it? I think this is our. Wait, did Thunderbird have a double rich game? Yeah, Thunderbird had the first double rich.
Thunderbird had a double one, but it was like in the most undefendable location in the world.
I mean, I don't know. I would say, I mean, this is probably my favorite map left in the map pool right now. Like, this would be my number one. Obviously, PvP is tough cannon rush, but I mean, look at this map, 4 bases compared to all the other maps. I mean, this is one of the easiest maps to get 4 bases as a Protoss player. This is probably my favorite map to play versus Zerg versus Protoss. Oh, versus Zerg versus Terran. I don't know. I mean, sometimes Zerg can be tough because they can eventually get that gas geyser, but it's not free to get that gas geyser, and it's usually later in the game. And I don't know. It can be tough, but I do. This is probably my favorite map right now in the map pool.
Yeah, this one seems to not get vetoed very much in tournaments. I feel like I cast this in just about every single best of 3 that we have.
Yeah, I feel like it just feels comfortable, and like the fact that the rocks, they just open the map up so wide if you get rid of them in the middle, it feels like a really comfortable map to play on.
Yeah, the one complaint I have is I feel like the acceleration zones don't really do anything on this map. It's like we never really see anything go on there other than units run through to go scout or whatever.
There's really no attack path. That's the problem. Like if you go through those speed zones, you end up like between every other base. Like there's no clear direction to the next base you're going to attack when you go through them. So
seems like a very safe try for acceleration zones, where it's like it's not going to ruin the map.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so overall, a very good, a very loved map.
Yeah, I like that map.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. The next map that was kept in there, Pillars of Gold. How are you guys liking Pillars of Gold at this point?
It's not the best Terran map in the world, but largely dependent on playstyle again. But Bio and TVZ, I hear a lot of people complaining about it. It's very hard to defend the third base. It even has an effect in TVP because that blink in at the third is quite easy for the Protoss to bounce in between as well. But I personally don't veto it. I actually like this map quite a bit because it, again, fits my play style of really easy to take 4 bases. Even a 5th base on this map isn't too difficult, actually.
Okay.
You can go, Vibe.
All right. I like it. I mean, I like the ramp of the natural. Things that decentivize more all in is always going to be in my favor of like that's a plus. The one thing about this map though that I've noticed just playing it many times is I almost always it's like guaranteed that I'm gonna get my 3-base setup. It's not a problem. But if you ever get behind on this map, I feel like this map is very punishing to get a 4th base.
Mm.
If you're just like not able to control it right away, it just feels like it's a stretch to do that. So from my perspective, it's just it's a really I really like it. It's a really good map. It's just one of those maps that I feel like if I make mistakes early, I'm just dead. It's hard to like recover.
Yeah, I would not say I really like it. I mean, as a pro, the thing is, like, I understand what Vibe's saying. I would actually say that happens more to Zerg players when they're trying to get like their 5th base, if they're behind and they're sitting on 4 bases. If you have a lot, you can really do a lot of harass and stuff on the sides. You can kind of spread them thin once you get to a certain spot. Yeah, I wasn't thrilled to see this map stay in the map pool. I mean, it's not terrible. Obviously, it's okay versus Terran. Versus Zerg, I have hit and miss games. Like sometimes I think it's really hard versus Zerg. You know, they're able to get big, Hydra Banelings on both sides, maybe Lurkers on both sides. You're my 3rd and 4th, of course. I mean, it's big, it's open. I feel I like it somewhat to an extent because I'm somewhat comfortable on it, but yeah, I was not thrilled that this and Submarine stayed in the map pool. Not my favorite 2 maps. Of course, I can play that. Well, I veto Submarine, but I can play Pillars of Gold. I just have a question for you guys: is how many times do you think is too many for a map pool to stay in? Like me personally, I mean, yes, we had Eternal Empire for a long time, but I would have been okay with Eternal Empire for another season because I mean that map I actually really liked, and I don't know, you reach a limit. I remember I think the 2 longest I would say, not to completely derail us, was it Overgrowth? Was that map? What was it?
Overgrowth was around for a long time.
Yeah. And I loved that map, and by the end I absolutely hated that map.
Yeah.
So like there definitely is the window, and then of course the other map I think that was around forever was Abyssal Reef.
Yeah.
Where again, I did like Abyssal Reef, and then I ended up hating Abyssal Reef. So there is definitely a point I think where you do hate a map for too long. But yeah, I would rather have had like Ice and Chrome, even though Ice and Chrome can be tough. I would rather have had one of those maps stay than Pillars of Gold.
Yeah. I feel like 2 seasons, maybe 3 at the most, is good. I think 2 is a really good solid number for like a recurring map, just because I feel like it forces variety and creative thought. And even though I'm someone who personally hates doing cheesy builds and I hate getting cheesed and things like that, I definitely like my standard macro stuff. It's just like it's not as healthy for the game overall if every game turns into like, oh, this map is standard and so is the whole pool every time. So I think it's good to have like a map that makes you feel awkward on, that you have to think about how you play and like actually play to the map rather than play to your one play style. So I like it. I think it's always good. And I am also someone who loves change. I actually get excited after playing this game for a decade to be like, ooh, new maps, new possibilities, new builds, new like metas could maybe develop here with like weird stuff that could go on. So I like it. 2 seasons is my opinion good.
Agree.
Yeah. I think 2 to 3 seasons, because like you said, if you have a map around too long, you do grow to hate it. Yeah, even if it's the greatest map, like Abyssal Reef, I was so excited at the beginning of that map and that they kept keeping it in. And then by the end, I'm like, I already can see the entire game. I already can see the cloud of corruptors flying over to fight the carriers. And like, I'm like, we know this map too well. And it's too much.
I'll ask you, how does Brood War handle it? Is Brood War like the same, or is it different? Or
yeah, no, we do it differently in Brood War. So in Brood War, we have 2 maps because you kind of have to keep in real standard maps for people to ladder in Brood War, because the maps are way different in Brood War. Like here, I think we actually have a really good variety this season. But in Brood War, we get maps that are so fucking weird that it's like, oh, this is completely different. You have to do completely different play on this. But there's 2 maps that have been around forever that are never leaving the ladder pool. It's already been announced. They're just always there because they're the 2 maps that people like fighting.
They're literally like these are forever maps.
They have been in since the beginning. Both of the maps are like 10 years old. Everyone's played on a million times. And the thing is, like, I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. One of the maps I don't like personally because it's just hard for Terran. So I vetoed that one finally, which was the best decision I ever made in my life. Like I love my wife and my children, but vetoing Fighting Spirit was number one. Now, but the other one, like I've now actually, and I loved like Circuit Breakers for a long time, but at this point, I'm like, I've played it so much, and I know exactly how the games look, and it's just like getting boring. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm actually really sick of this map. I actually just want something new, you know. But it's remaster came out 3 years ago, I think, right? And 3 years of Circuit Breakers. I play Circuit Breakers 3-4 times a day for 3 years, and I'm like, I could use something new personally. Yeah, I like the rotation in StarCraft 2 with maps actually.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good point though. Okay, so Pillars of Gold not as beloved as Deathaura, but okay.
It's on my tournament veto list, but it's not on my ladder veto list.
Okay, I can get behind that.
And the last map that's being kept, Submarine. What do we think about Submarine?
I love it. Terrans love this map. It's small. You can all in. The Protoss dies, and then end of story.
Yeah, this one gets vetoed a fair amount.
Oh yeah.
McCanning, how do you feel about this map?
This was the map. This is the map that like I am also like I usually don't veto any maps. I just do any map. But like there reached a point where playing Zerg felt awkward on this map. Playing Terran felt like a nightmare on this map, and I just vetoed it. So I literally vetoed it like not even that deep into the last season. So for them to keep a map that I had hard vetoed since last season, it was less than ideal for me to see this. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, Terrans definitely seem to pick this more than any other race. I don't know. I understand keeping it because, you know, Blizzard likes to have one small map, even, you know, one map that maybe is not the favorite. For some reason, they like to keep it in just to, I don't know, spite me. I don't know. But I understand having a different map than a bunch of macro maps. So I can get behind a small map staying. But this small map specifically, not a big fan.
Yeah, okay. I'm not a fan either. It's like it's small, and look at the bushes. They're full wall bushes. There's no gaps. There's no gaps. They're always blind. You can't spread creep properly. And no, it definitely.
I can't imagine. I feel actually really bad for you, Vibe, having to send a 25 mineral fastest unit in the game across there to spread your creep. That's insane. How do you? Ever
since I got the ability to put a tumor on a ramp, I've been spoiled. Okay, I haven't been circling anymore. Yeah, I don't really like this map. This map feels like it feels like tight locations. There's a decent amount of like ramps to like counterattack paths, but it just feels like this map is super tight. There's like very abusable cliff spots constantly, and it's so small that if you don't play a hyper aggro build, it just feels like the second you're taking damage and you take one bad engagement, you're just dead. You just get run over because you just get prayed pushed down until you die. So I don't like this map either. It just feels awkward to play.
All right, Jason. No one likes your Terran maps, man. I'm sorry.
I mean, I don't even like this map because, like I said, it just doesn't fit my play style. Like, you honestly can take 4 bases, not too terribly on this map as a Terran.
Yeah. If you can get to that stage, you can. I agree. You can kind of do it.
But it's not my favorite map. I like to play it to the end, and this is a map where you will get all in on in almost every matchup.
It is always funny though, the way you say is how it doesn't play to your play style. I think about that where last season, you know, Golden Wall, if you were a Terran player playing a Protoss, most Terran players did not like Golden Wall, right? There was the gold base. But when I would play a Terran, like when I played Future, for example, I vetoed Golden Wall as a Protoss player because just every time they play that map, they would double supply deep with the ramp. Things would get weird. TY did a million different one base all-ins. I'm like, okay, is he expanding? Is he one basing? So, you know, it's kind of funny how the map pool plays out per player, where like that map, most Protosses like that map. I did not like that map versus Terran at least. So.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, I guess that's the maps. That's our current map pool. What do you guys think overall of the map pool? Let me just read off real quick. We went over all of them: Submarine, Deathaura, Pillars of Gold, Oxide, NightShade, Romanticide, and Jagannatha or Juggernaut. With no R in it, but it's like Juggernaut. So sick. What do you guys think of the map pool overall?
It's all good. I think if you just veto Submarine, you'll have a good time. Like Submarine's the only map I don't like in this pool.
I mean, I like all the maps. It's a great map pool, honestly. I'm just comparing it to how we had it 2 seasons ago, and I did not like that at all. So I'm very grateful for this map pool. Very grateful that, like I said before, there's a couple small maps, a couple medium maps, a couple large maps. Makes it so everybody can kind of veto the maps that don't really fit their styles, and they still have a lot of good options left over. So overall, I love it.
I would, you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to see a map pool list of the last like 4 seasons we've had, because Jason says the season 2 seasons ago, like I can't remember the 7 maps then. Like, did I like, for example, did I like last season's map pool more than the season before it? I mean, I'd like to see the maps, to be honest. I think I probably did like last season's map pool more. I think obviously it's still way too early to tell if I like this map season more than the last map season. I need way more time on it. But I definitely think it has some promise. And I think generally the community seems pretty excited about these maps. So if they're excited, I can be excited. And I think, you give me a month, 2 months, maybe this will be a map pool I like more than the last map pool. So we'll see.
We always do an episode on new map pools. I think just about every season for PylonShow. And I think this is one of the more positive reviews for a season of maps from you guys. And overall, like I remember some of the big complaints we've had in episodes like a year ago and so, where it was like, oh my God, every map is gigantic, that type of thing, right? Or, oh my God, all the maps look the same. But it feels like there's a lot of variety here. I like just visually, it's very appealing with like how they look different. It's weird when we have a map pool where if I just glance at the map real quick while I'm talking to Tasteless, I might actually mistake which one it is because 2 of them look just alike, like that Port Alexander era where there was like 2 or 3 maps that were like, I would confuse them with each other because they were similar enough.
They're like wooden tile sets.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I can get behind that.
Yeah. I like it as someone who views a lot of Starcraft and commentates a lot. I'm excited about this map pool. I think it's gonna be a good one.
Now, does GSL have like their new ones they've taken yet? Do they have all these maps now, or what?
We're in the middle of the season, so no.
So they don't change.
Yeah, occasionally if the map pool changes, like between the round of 24, round of 16, sometimes we'll take them on. But we're gonna keep the map pool that we have right now, as far as I know. Yeah, and then this map pool we should have for Super Tournament number 2. So at least we'll see the Greeks playing then on those. Yeah.
I mean that tournament right now, Kings of what's it? Kings of.
Oh yeah.
That's on the new map pool, or it started on the new map pool before it was there. So we'll see what people are doing already.
Yeah, that's a cool one. Okay. Any final thoughts? Just
hold on. Cobra's giving us season 1. What was that? Zen. Oh, Zen was a bad one, right? Didn't we not like Zen?
No one liked Zen, really. Zen was. It was a beautiful map.
Yeah,
it was a beautiful map.
Oh, yeah, see, I definitely think I like the last map pool more than that one with Zen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Purity in Industry, no one liked that map. No one liked that map.
What did that map look like? I can't even remember.
It looked like a giant scrap station. With all the zones behind the main. With the island in the top right.
Yeah. There was a gold base in bottom left.
Yeah. See?
Oh yeah, that was
that map
brutal
was
map.
so bad.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, there was an island with like 700 slow zones.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, so look, we are trending in the right direction. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
We're getting there, dude.
The maps are getting better.
See, you do forget what the other maps were like, and then just a new map pool comes around, you forget the last map pool, but you're so easy to judge, and so this is the one we just had, right? This one I'm seeing right now, Deathaura.
Yeah, this was just season 2.
Yeah, okay, all right. I mean, I definitely didn't mind that last map pool. I think some of them were kind of big, maybe kind of good, like Ice and Chrome and Pillars of Gold, pretty big. But all right. I think maybe this could be the best of the season so far. Judging, I mean, they're both gonna be better than season 1. I'll say that right now. Zen and Port,
for sure. Yeah. All right. Well, I think the map makers are doing a great job. I think our great judge, Jagannatha Jason, is doing a good job.
More people need to judge. If you're a pro player and you complain about maps, sign up to judge. Thank you. That's all I want to say.
Seriously. This is such an important thing. I feel like StarCraft's just going to be more enjoyable because of this map pool compared to the previous ones. So.
I mean, like, especially. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Well,
I was gonna say.
Oh, this is getting awkward. I gotta go.
You can go. You're the host. Okay, let me take over. I was gonna say, because there are some people out there that I just, especially in Europe, man, some of those guys are just massive. It's like, even like Hero Marine and Hearthstone. Whenever I listen to Hearthstone, he knows literally everything about everything, every single matchup, every single map, every single race. Like I don't know if Hearthstone has done the map pools, but like he'd be a perfect guy because his mind in Starcraft, like he knows every timing. Like one time I casted Home Story Cup with him, and I'm just like, I thought of something, and he's like, "Nah, mate, no, that's wrong." He didn't actually do that, but he knows so much about everything. It's like daunting. I'm like, Jesus, he's too smart.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I feel safer with Estrella because when I say something stupid around him, he'd be like, "Oh, that's a really interesting idea, Artosis." As soon as I hear that, I'm like, "Oh shit, I said something dumb." All right, that was great, you guys. Thank you so much for going over those maps. That was like really informative and fun stuff. Yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed the map discussion. I think we're just gonna get into Patreon questions from there. You guys ready for this?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
down.
guys, check out patreon.com/ThePylonShow. You still have a little bit of time to drop a question for these guys if you'd like. Let's do it. Question number 1 from Zaubergarden. He asks, I wonder, are SCVs repairing an attacking mech unit or planetary auto targets for the AI as if they were combat units themselves? I feel like they should be. Much love from Zaubergarden. Are SCVs repairing an
Yeah,
attacking
I think
mech
the answer
unit?
is yes to that.
I don't even
well,
understand what this question is.
I
Hold
think
on.
he's asking. Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
What is he asking?
I think he's asking if SCVs while repairing are considered hostile or if they're considered neutral, like they are when they're not doing anything. So, like if you have SCVs mining minerals and there's like a marine in their line, it'll auto target the marine
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
If the SCVs are repairing, they're considered hostile. And if you they just go A move again, like if you stop A move and like let's say like your whatever unit you're attacking with is closer to the SCV than the command center, it'll kill the SCV repairing. But then if the SCV stops repairing, it'll become no longer hostile.
So like, yeah, the use case would be like, say you walk up to a PF with a bunch of stalkers, you want to start shooting the PF, wait for the SCVs to start repairing the PF, and then you shoot again, and then they'll automatically target the SCVs repairing instead of the PF.
Yeah, you can juggle it and stuff as the SCV guy.
Yeah, that is correct. Okay, great. Thanks, Zaubergarden, for the question. I hope that helps. Washburn21 asks, Solar hasn't won a major tournament since 2016. It seems like every time I see him, he gets sniped by a prepared build. What makes him particularly vulnerable to non-standard play, and what does he need to work on to win an offline event again? You guys have any thoughts on that?
I'll take this one because I have been, Solar is like my other guy. So like there was a period of time I was a massive Alive guy. I was like Alive was maybe doing well in online cups or something, and I was like, Alive is going to be great. Like that was my guy. I was like, guys, like every GSL group he'd be the underdog, and I'm like, no, if you're a betting man, bet on Alive. He's good. And then he'd always let me down. Now Solar is kind of like my other guy, where like Solar is high on the ladder. He does well in the ESL Cups. He honestly does well in some of the Alima leagues. He beats the best players. He's not just beating good players. He's beating the best players. But he has struggled in like the GSL and stuff. And I'm not sure if it's really him getting sniped or if players are just better than him. That's a hard question for me to exactly say what he should do better, as he's better than all of us here. I just think he's really close. And I think sometimes as a top tier player, sometimes it just doesn't go your way. I don't know exactly what he does need to do, but I would definitely put him. I mean, he's definitely not as consistent as some of those other guys, but I consider him like if he's going up against even like Trap and Stats, I think he's got a decent shot. Like he's a guy that literally I think can beat maybe not the top Terrans, but definitely those top Protoss. I think he does pretty well versus. So I think he's close. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say exactly. Like find another build, do other things, because I'm sure he's doing all that practice and he knows what people know about him. So it's hard to be like, do this, do that. So I don't really have an answer. I'm just saying he's good, and
Sure.
it's hard. It's just hard to make that step.
Yeah. I think like there's other factors as well that you might not even think about that aren't even game related that can mess with the player's performance. Like something as simple as what if he performs really well in a setup he's comfortable with, but he doesn't perform well in a setup that is like not made for him specifically, and it's just everyone uses it, like a LAN setup. So there's little tiny things that like maybe mindset as well. Maybe he actually gets nervous when he's performing or when he's competing in a LAN setting, and maybe he's not as nervous when he is competing like from his house. or wherever he plays from. It's just weird. It's hard to really like isolate the problem for somebody as simple as like, oh, he just needs to get better at this one thing and he'll suddenly win tournaments.
I look at Solar as a very deeply strategic Zerg, which I think might play into this as well. He actually has created many of the strategies way ahead of people. Like the first Hydra Bane against Protoss was from 2015 from Solar. He did it in SSL. The very first time anyone did that. He pioneered a lot of the Swarmhost Nidus stuff.
Oh god.
He was the first player using lurkers against Terran. I think he's like a meta breaker. Like he's someone that actually sees all this shit ahead of time and can smash metas. But that would be weak against prepared aggressive builds, right? Because what you're looking for is to counter the normal way of playing. So if someone has prepared something, they're going to throw you off of what you've been practicing. So that would be a guess from me as to maybe something that's hard for him.
Yeah, I agree with that.
There you go. Big respect for Solar, though. I think he's one of the brainiest players out there, honestly.
Also, I respect how many cups he's like the Korea champ. He plays in like all the SL cups. He plays in all the Alima leagues. Like seriously, kudos, because like most players don't play in it. I don't play in enough cups, but he plays in a lot of cups. Mm-hmm. He wins a lot of the ESL ones. So good job for him.
Yeah. All right, Washburn. Hope that answers your questions. Ass Rash asks. Last week, Kaelaris read my question, and Torice referred to me as Ass Rack asks. At first, I was pretty hurt, but at this point, I'm honestly just confused. We all know what an ass rash is. Some of you poor sods may even have had one. But what is the holy name of Flash is an ass rack? Please help. Maybe that's
Jason.
just how you pronounce that. Yeah, Jason, you're the expert on pronouncing things. Do British people pronounce rash as rack?
So maybe if I was like a murderer and I had like a weird fetish where I chop people's butts off and I had a rack where I like stored the butts, maybe that's what that is.
There you go. Okay, an ass rack.
Yeah, sounds good.
Hang dry.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I remember, this is a really weird memory that just popped in my head, but you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to say it. I remember when I was a kid getting a toy from like a McDonald's Happy Meal, and it was Batwoman. And her boobs and her butt looked exactly the same. It was a cheap little plastic toy. You could have flipped her upside down. You didn't know which way was up. Ass rack. All right.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Glad I could help. Ass Rash asks. I hope that helped you right there. All right. Walk Like a Human asks, if Dreamhaven / another dev releases a next-gen RTS title, what changes from StarCraft 2 could be made to help the new title become the #1 esports game? Can RTS learn something from MOBAs by adding more races with race banning before games, causing the pros to be pro with multiple races, or balancing 2v2, 3v3?
I'd like to answer this one.
Whew.
Yeah.
I think personally, one thing that I've had like a group of friends that I play games with forever, like 2 decades now. And the one thing that made me kind of sad about it when StarCraft 2 came out was I loved playing 1v1 and none of them liked it. They didn't really enjoy it. They didn't like catch on to the 2v2, 3v3 team aspect of it. And if there was maybe more emphasis on like making that a lot more streamlined for like maybe even competition style, like there's very like a blip of it right now in StarCraft 2. But if there was like, I'm not going to say it should mainstream that like that's going to replace 1v1, but maybe if it was more emphasized in a really good way, that'd be great. For like just keeping the more casual-esque RTS player in and not the hardcore guy that's like thirsting for improvement every day and he just is addicted to it. That'd be a huge thing, I think. And then the other thing about it is that would make the game really good that I think is required is you really need to have the level of polish, in my opinion, in an RTS that Blizzard has on their games. Like every other RTS I've ever played that is not Blizzard, I feel like there's some type of RTS element where it's like this is the way the game plays, this is how you macro in this game, this is how it's supposed to operate. But there's like such like caveman-esque style micro mechanics compared to like a game like Starcraft. Like you just cannot control your stuff nearly to the level you can in like a game like a Blizzard RTS.
Mhm.
And if they can have that kind of polish in their game, I think that would like make it a real contender to like be the new big RTS.
Yeah. I'll just jump in and say, I mean, I agree with what Vibe said. I think honestly, it's weird because like I don't think StarCraft necessarily needs to have a team game aspect. It's kind of funny because when I always used to harp on the StarCraft 2 community a bit, where like the StarCraft community would want things, and then when we would get them, they would either be too late or not good enough. And like I get, you know, you have to have some things on a time and matter, but what comes to my mind is Archon mode. People thought Archon mode is going to be a massive game changer. You can take 1v1, you can play with a buddy. Then Archon mode comes out, and it's a dead, more or less a dead game mode right now. You know, it's very inactive, and not many people play it. There's nothing about it. So it's hard to say exactly. I do always fantasize sometimes, but I mean, I think 2v2 and 3v3, you know, it's obviously good when more people are playing. You know, it gets that community building going. But I always do think now it'd be impossible to do, but it would be pretty hype if somehow they added a fourth race. You know, I don't know how you do it. You couldn't really ever do it, and it wouldn't make any sense. But I mean, 3 races is definitely good. But man, I tell you, if they somehow added like a 4th and 5th race, the extra dynamics you'd have, it'd be pretty crazy. It'd be pretty crazy.
Would be crazy. I want to mention about 2 vs 2 and 3 vs 3 and stuff. I think that StarCraft 2 team games are really inferior to Brood War team games. I think that basically what they need to do to fix this, if you're making a new RTS, don't allow both players to control all the units, and don't allow resource trading. I think that those 2 things ruined 2 vs 2, 3 vs 3, whatever, in StarCraft 2. Really ruined it. It's way too fucking complicated. You don't know who's controlling what. It doesn't make sense. A 2 vs 2, you should have 2 players, and they both have their strengths and they both have their weaknesses. And you can follow linearly where they're going with their money, with their tech, with their choices, rather than being like, he's not building anything. Oh, he's giving all his money to his teammate. I thought when it was coming out and announced like that, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But now that I've seen it and I've played it and I've thought about it, it's fucking terrible. And it shouldn't be like that. That is not the way to do 2 vs 2, not the way to do 3 vs 3, anything like that.
I think AoE 2 actually has a really good example of a well-working team game community. Like how they do their 2v2 and 3v3s, they don't have resources trading. They actually don't even reveal your ally until you build a market in that game. It's just so much more fun
Crazy
to play team games when like one person doesn't leave at the start of the game and feed 2k resources to the other guy who builds 17 barracks and then Marine all-ins you.
Yeah.
There's so many like very specific strategies in 2v2, StarCraft 2, that are just like designed so abusively because of that fact. I don't know, man.
I also just finally add is that not related to what Jason said, but to the question is that I don't know if RTS could ever become the #1 esport. Honestly, I mean, it's a great game, and it doesn't have to be the #1 esport at the end of the day. But the demand for RTS is just not as high as it is for some of these other games, and I think you can definitely still grow a great community and a big community. I mean, you see how loyal StarCraft is, but for us to grow very high, I think it's just hard because RTS is just not as popular as other genres.
Yeah. I think as well with that is I think one of the big things that's massively overlooked with new age RTS, like for instance StarCraft 2 compared to like Brood War or Warcraft 3, is I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I have not made a single friend inside StarCraft 2, and every friend I've made has been through another like a LAN event or a stream or something some other means that is not on Battle.net.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's really because they put zero emphasis in making a community on Battle.net. And when I used to play Warcraft 3 and Brood War, there's dudes that I still talk to today that I've met like 20 years ago that I
100%.
met through other games. You know what I mean? I feel like there definitely needs to be a bigger emphasis where sometimes when you log into the game, you just want to log in to go who's on and like actually see what's going on there and have an actual for instance, like I feel like it was a super cool thing if you were in a good clan and everyone wanted to come join your channel to like shoot the shit basically in your channel. And you were like, it was like pride in the server because of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
The Battle.net 2.0 update, when was it, like Heart of the Swarm, when they killed the good chat system and brought us the new chat system, like that was the big turning point for me, like from when I went from actually having a whole community of friends that I would talk to on StarCraft and just getting like it was so bad. Like the new chat system, Like, you don't have separate windows for each conversation anymore. It's so hard to track what's going on. The conversations get mixed up together. It doesn't really have that social feel that Wings of Liberty had to me.
Yeah.
The Wings of Liberty one was complete dog shit next to the Brood War one too.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It truly was. Like the channel system, there was communities, there was pride, like Vibe said. I made friends back then you would go to a channel and that's how you would fucking talk to people. You'd hop around to different channels. You'd tell your friends, like, let's go to this channel. And everyone goes /join and goes to that channel. And it's like now you're talking with a new group of people. And I remember at the beginning, people being like, when there were complaints, they were like, someone at Blizzard said something to the effect of, no, the guys at Facebook designed this. This is great. Like someone from Facebook designed it. It's like as if that's a fucking excuse for it being terrible compared to what it used to be. It's like, what? Oh, you paid too much money for it? Sunken cost fallacy. Let's just keep it in the game. Come on. Yeah, they fixed that.
I just remember there was like so many times that I would log in and I would have the intention to play the game, and then I would just get caught up in a conversation in a channel because it's fun to be in those. You actually feel like you're part of a community.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things of RTS, especially when it's 1v1 focused, is it's so much easier to meet someone and become a friend, like actually make a friend in a casual environment where you're having a conversation, as opposed to being like, good luck, have fun. Hey, how's your day going, man? He's like, shut the fuck up. I want to play. I don't want to talk to you. He just ignores me right away. And like, it's like so hostile because you just want to win and you want to play. You don't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
So I feel like you have to have a community aspect on the actual game itself, not outsourced to platforms like Twitch and other things like that.
Yeah. That's a good. The only thing I would say, like, I agree with everything. And that's a great point from Vibe. Like, I agree. Besides like LAN and like meeting people through Twitch, I mean, it's a competitive 1v1 game. I'm not going to be your best friend. I'm sure I haven't given people the best reception either, trying to queue into it and become a friend with someone just queued on ladder. But like, I always thought something that would be nice. I mean, obviously logistically it could be tough, but like League of Legends used to have this. I think they probably still do in CSGO, where I always thought if you had the ability to just watch a live Grandmaster game, just be able to just click and watch a live Grandmaster game. I always thought that'd be cool. Maybe there'd be a way where you could interact and people could watch and talk. There'd be 100 viewers. Wouldn't even have to be many. Like I know League used to do that. I know CS:GO does that for some of their big events. You can just watch the client. And I always thought that's a great way to inspire people to play, to give them some inspiration. Builds are right there. But I mean, I don't know the logistics of it. I'm sure it's not that easy. But I always used to think that was a good potential way to get people watching.
Yeah,
that's great. Great answers, guys. Walk like a human. Hope that somewhat answers what you're saying, what you're asking. All right. Ayamora asks, I just want to use this question to say thanks for doing another EU show. Always great to see European personalities more, and I hope this happens more often. Love Kaelaris as a host. Just one request. Please don't bleep him saying the F word on the European show. We don't do that here. All right. Well, I'm glad that you enjoyed. Kaelaris is fantastic, and yeah, I want to have more European guests on the show as well. So we'll try to do that from time to time.
Next week, I want to thanks for the NA guests. How's that sound?
Wow, it was so refreshing to have the same old type of episode again.
The player didn't even complain about the maps. It was actually a disgusting episode. He kept saying the map pool was balanced, so I don't even want to hear it.
All right. Thank you, Ayamora, for the feedback. Appreciate it. Shampoo McTavish asks, how do pros create new build orders? Do they start with a clear goal, such as I want to have DTs out at 5 minutes, and then transition into a third before reverse engineering from there? Or is it more of a random process where they fool around and then refine it when they hit upon something they like?
Do you want to know the real answer? The real answer is that actual pro players have every single build order memorized to the T, and then it literally just comes down to like what goes on in the game. Like literally, if there's like a new build, like where you open up a Liberator harassment, it's usually like a small adjustment on a build that's like already being used quite frequently. So like learning new builds isn't something that happens too often. It's usually like I watched GSL and saw somebody do something and I was like, cool, they made that unit at this time. And you just make the small adjustment to your current build order. I mean, that's how I do it. That's how I learn new builds.
I would agree with kind of what Jason said. I will say, the way I always think of StarCraft and builds in general is it's like a tree with infinite branches. And I try to tell chat sometimes it's hard to understand completely if you're not at the highest level, but there are so many small things that happen where, like, for example, a Terran sometimes people think Terran maybe doesn't have the most builds, but just because they open Barracks Factory Starport, it could be a bunch of different things. Widowmine drop, Hellion drop, Banshee, Liberator. I mean, there's just so many variations within builds, even just slight variations. Like, for example, the DT drop as you have here. There was a time where Stats was maybe just doing a 3-gate DT drop, 2-gate DT drop. A lot of it is, maybe what you like, but it's also just kind of, like Jason said, playing off the meta. Maybe you say they're expecting 4-gate DTs. I can play a little bit greedier with 2-gate DTs, but get somewhat similar things done. So a lot of it is kind of just variations of builds that you already have done, I would say.
Yeah. And the final reason I would say for anyone who's like newer to the game that doesn't understand why that has to be that way, and it might sound complicated, is because every build has to have a sense of efficiency. And if it doesn't, it's a garbage build, because you can be as creative as you want to be with a build that sucks. Like in terms of like to go all the way back to what Artosis said early on when he was talking about when a Terran player, if they go for like heavy gas, that should never mean he's going to expand right away. But if he does expand right away, that makes no sense. And if you have some type of build that does something like that, where it just makes no sense, it's not actually going to match up to anything in an appropriate way, and it's always going to lose. So if you take an efficient build that is actually like what Jason said now, a build that is something you just know that is like a mainstream pro build, you just alter it little by little because it's still efficient that way.
Yeah. I think another thing to mention is there's certain benchmarks within StarCraft that you have to obey with races and certain matchups. The most straightforward one I could mention would be like in StarCraft 1 with Terran, you have eBay timings. Like against Zerg, if they have a 3-minute layer, you have to start, your eBay by 4 minutes, let's say, right? And then you can get it up in time to have turrets when the mutas arrive. So it's like you have to look at some of your benchmarks. It's like, when do you need detection by? When do you need a bunker in TVP for StarCraft 2, right? It's like, well, I'm going to need it by this time, or the Adept fucks me up because I went Reaper. It's something like that. So like once you have those benchmarks, you almost have to build around them, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's like you have So I hope that helps some. Thanks for the question, Shampoo McTavish. Codiferous87 asks, looking to buy my first gaming chair. Is there one model or brand you would recommend? Any features to look out for / avoid? That's a good question. What do you guys do about your chairs?
Don't buy a professional gaming chair. Anything that's branded as a professional gaming chair, don't buy, because the odds are you're going to get overcharged for something that isn't super good. So like a good method would be to check out your used furniture shop stores locally, because what you'll see happens is there are a lot of places that go out of business that decided they were going to buy 20 or 30 Herman Millers, which are like $1,200 chairs, but they're going to resell them for like $500. That's how I got my own chair. You're just like gaming chairs in general, like they're usually not even that ergonomic. They're usually not even made out of good material unless you're paying like upwards of like $1,500 plus. Yeah, just don't buy like a professionally branded gaming chair. You actually see, who is it? Razer right now partnered with Herman Miller because they're like trying to design a chair like designed for gamers based off of the Herman Miller body, and it's just infinitely better. Like, I'm not even sitting up right now. I should be, but if you're somebody who plays video games, 8 hours a day, the chair is something you need to, put quite a lot of thought into, because it's going to affect your back at some point in your life. So definitely don't cheap out and don't buy anything that is branded as a gaming chair, because you will pay too much money.
Am I seeing two gaming chairs up there at the top with Artosis and Vibe?
Yeah.
They're good chairs. They are good chairs. Like, they're comfortable chairs. Don't get me wrong, but you can pay half the price and get something twice the quality.
Yeah, I had a regular office chair and it broke. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, I need a new chair. And then my wife found a gaming chair, these gaming racing chairs, and one was on sale, like really cheap. I'm like, yeah, fuck it. Let me try that. All the pros use it. Let me, at tournaments and stuff, because it's always a sponsorship. So I tried it. One thing that I want to mention is that you need to measure where you want your butt and where you want your arms for armrests and the seat. And some chairs are very adjustable and some are not. Like this chair that I have, like we just bought it on a whim because it was on sale, but I have to sit on a cushion when I play StarCraft because it's not tall enough for my desk. which is kind of annoying, right?
Yeah,
Like
it's really annoying.
when I'm on PylonShow, I take the cushion out, so I look short to you right now, but I'll put that cushion down when I'm playing Starcraft later. And it's like kind of annoying to have to deal with, but definitely measure that because you have to make sure you're sitting at your desk with the right posture or you're going to cause yourself a lot of issues.
Yeah, I agree.
And try the chair. Do not buy a chair without trying it out. Sit in that thing, see how it feels, because you will regret buying a bad chair.
Yeah,
I mean-
for me, I went through stages of chairs. Like I used to be the guy that would go to like Office Max and just buy like this really massive, big brown, like lazy boy style chair. It's just like everywhere. And then I would like use it for like 5 years. And by the time that time was up, like it's just I remember my brother told me one time, he's like, how do you sit in this? It feels like you're sitting on just straight up wood because like all the cushion's gone by now. So it's just like I'm sitting on like a hard plank essentially. And whenever I would sit in those chairs, I always have this thing I do when I sit in a chair where I always just like lean back, like as the day progresses, and I'm end up with like my head at like the middle of the back of the chair. And it was awful because that old chair I had incentivized me to do that because it was comfortable to do that. But then whenever I would stand up, like if I'm traveling, I really noticed it when I would travel for tournaments. When I was in an airport just traveling, holding a bag, I was like, oh my God, my back hurts. I haven't even like been doing anything. And my back is so sore all the time. So yeah, I started going into chairs that force you to sit upright. And I think it helped so much at like actually making my posture better. And here's the thing we actually talked about in a previous Pylon Show episode was partly because of sitting upright and not slouching super hard and putting tons of pressure on my elbows. It made my wrists specifically have way less problems because there's some type of like carpal tunnel called ulnar nerve syndrome or something like that. And it basically makes the whole outside of your hand go numb with all along your forearm to your elbow, and it gives you tons of wrist pain and finger pain. And I feel like if you have a chair that just makes you sit upright, it'll go away a lot more. Like it won't really be as prevalent.
Yeah, I had that, and Vibe helped me out with that. So that was definitely one thing, was sitting up more straight and putting less pressure on my elbows. Thank you again, Vibe.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, those are things that you should think about with your chairs. Okay, thanks, Codiferous. You get a good one. Hyper Turtle asks, what are some maps from over the years that you enjoyed seeing people play on, but hated playing on yourself?
Arena.
Yeah, Arena. I hated that one, but it was great to commentate and watch it. What was the name of the map where you couldn't get the siege tank through the center? You guys remember this map?
Dasan Station.
Oh,
That's
that
my
one right
that's
there.
my trigger
Oh,
word.
there were
Don't
some
say
great
Dasan
games
Station
to watch
me.
there. That was like the worst map ever.
I played one ladder game on that map. I made Marines and tanks. I tried to walk through the middle and the tank didn't fit. And then I hit F10N and then I vetoed. And then that was the last time I played that map.
And Blizzard kept it in 2 more seasons for you.
Yeah, they did. Yep.
That's a hard one for me, honestly, because like I don't know, because like if I'm not, because like I don't know, as mostly a player, streamer, I don't really have maps that like if I dislike them, it's not. I'm never really like, oh yeah, can't wait to watch a game here because I personally don't enjoy playing on it. So I don't know if I even really have one. Like maybe Battle of Boardwalk, I used to enjoy a little bit. Actually, there was that one map, I don't know, Redshift or something there used to be like weird things where like I don't know if you guys remember that you had like a left base was like each player had like a gold, I think, like in the pocket natural. Then it'd be like spine crawlers outside the hatchery, like outside of the Zerg's mineral pad. I don't know. There'd be weird games there that I wouldn't mind. So it's hard to think though of maps like, because like usually if I despise a map, I usually don't care to play, watch it that much either.
I think my answer is going to be, in terms of watching, if you're just watching for sheer enjoyment, my answer would be something every programmer would hate to hear. And it would be, I used to actually find maps to watch just for sheer enjoyment more fun when they were like 4-player spawn maps or like really awkward maps that would like create really weird situations all the time because players, there's so much RNG included there where you just don't know what's going to happen.
Oh yeah.
Like that would create games that weren't just like standard. And I think from a viewer's perspective, it's nice to see more variation of just like random things that can happen, but it's definitely not fair to a pro gamer though to be like, I lost because I scouted wrong and I'm just dead. So I mean, it's like a double-edged sword there, but yeah, I think that was probably the most exciting to watch.
I have a fun story about something like that. So I don't know when they made it where you could only have 3 spawns. We used to have 4-player maps in StarCraft 2 where it wouldn't be horizontal, right? It'd either be top, if you spawn bottom right, it'd either bottom left or top right. It'd only be 2 of the 3 spots. And this was back in HOTS. I don't know if most of you guys remember Hitman, and he used to be, just a perennial rank 1 on NA. And I kind of liked him because he was kind of amazing how he just like didn't play anything, and then he played one tournament, won a couple tournaments. So I used to think Hitman was kind of cool because he was just, I don't know, he was like so low key, but he was the best player on the ladder, right? So I played a game on a 4-player map where you either spawn bottom left or top right. There's 2 of the 3. It was a gamble. And this is back when I went 2-gate Zealot, and I just gambled one of his bases and put it in the corner of one of the 2 bases, and he spawned there, and I still lost, and he called me trash, and I left. I was like, hey, man, I like you, man. I like you, but God.
Love that. I think basically for maps that are really entertaining to watch but not to play, basically if pro gamers are, you can tell by pro gamers, if all pro gamers agree a map is shit, that is the most fun map to watch because it means the map is insane. If like only one race doesn't like it, then yeah, it's not really that good a map because it's like, oh yeah, the map is too big, right? It's like, okay, yeah, the games there aren't going to be interesting. But if it's one of these maps where all the pros agree that it's terrible, they all agree it's terrible because it's so non-standard, so then it will give you that kind of RNG thing Vibe was talking about.
But when you think about it, like, don't you think the craziest games you remember are usually the ones that like Parting vs. Maru, where like the games are just super long?
That was a great one.
So like I feel like usually when you have like the classic late stalemates, it's usually like a macro map. Like what would you say is one of the most? Could you even think of a really classic map on like a really crazy map, or a really classic game
match? Yeah. That map where the tank can't walk through the center. I remember this game. It was Scarlet versus like a Protoss, and it was the most insane game ever. It was so crazy. I can't.
Okay.
It was like there was just units everywhere because there was like 2 paths into the main and like just pure base trading the entire time and like.
Okay.
Yeah, there's been a few of those and some on Arena that I recall as well where it was like.
Arena was good.
Yeah, I remember Patience with Blink Stalkers losing to regular Stalkers on that map. That was a really classic one.
What's up with Patience?
That was so funny. It was like the same number of Stalkers too. How does that even happen? How do you? It doesn't even make sense. How can you lose that? Yeah. Yeah. I guess you don't get like the game that we saw last night was next level. Those maps generally won't give you that, but they can give you crazy stuff.
I agree.
Okay. Well, here we go. Back.
Yeah,
you see me?
I think. Yeah, or
I see you.
I saw you for a second. I think for the maps, like in general, like it's if you I would agree 100% though. If you have a map that goes like we're talking 30-40 minutes where it actually is crazy about who you don't know who's going to win, and you like last night you see nukes going down, and the way you talked about nukes, it was like really, it was like blowing everyone's minds. It's like, oh my god, now he's doing it more and more. It keeps nuking every base and like clearing it out. Like it was super cool, and then like it felt like Terran was like so fortified and Protoss couldn't engage a lot of times. It was really fun to watch that because it's not something you see every game, which is why I think that's like I feel like the general theme of what is fun to watch when it's not a game you've seen 5,000 times, where it's like, oh, he just died to another timing, and that's how the game goes usually. And like it's fun to see variety. I feel like
depends because sometimes those late macro games is those corruptor Viper clouds that everyone just in the chat spams they hate.
Yeah, no, those aren't fun. Corruptor
so, yeah,
is not exciting. Good answers. Thank you, Hyper Turtle, for the question. Refrigerator asks, which card in a deck of playing cards do you consider yourself to be? Which do you think suits everyone else? Oh, I'm definitely a 3 of clubs. I mean, just look at me. It's pretty obvious, I think.
It is. I don't know. I don't know what card I'd be.
We got Jason is the Jack of Diamonds.
Okay, I can get behind it.
No, I'm the 6 of Hearts. McCanning is the 9 of Diamonds.
Why am I the 9 of
Diamonds? I can get behind the 9 of Diamonds for him. Yeah.
Why am I a 9 of Diamonds exactly?
Because I'm the 6 of Hearts.
Is there some chemistry here I'm feeling?
Maybe.
What's vibe? Are you gonna
He's the king of spades right now? He's the king of spades.
He's Zerg. I don't really consider him human.
Come on, dude.
I'd be a face card. I can see myself being a Jack or a Queen.
If you if you guys are gonna be the 6 of hearts and the 9 of diamonds, I'll just I'll be the king of any color, any suit. But I'll
You
just
can be my queen. How about
since
that?
I'm Zerg, I'll just throw in some neural parasite into that action, and we're good to go.
All right. Very different question. Thank you, Refrigerator. I hope that you liked the answers. Julio Agogo asks, with a couple of super stacked round of 16 groups in this season's GSL, it got me wondering, what's your dream GSL group? Strongest, wackiest, or most entertaining?
I would just say last night's group.
Yeah, I mean, it was the best of the year, I think, for sure. Can't think of anything much better than that.
I'm too much of a Beyond fangirl to give any other answer, unfortunately.
This is a tough one for me because, this, I don't mean to give a long answer, but I will say, I'm kind of someone that, ever since they region locked and stuff, it's one of those things where I think back to, like, so for example, some of the sports teams I follow are not the best sports teams. Like the Orioles right now, they're not a great sports team, but I still enjoy watching their games. And to this point, I still feel like sometimes when I'm most excited in GSL is when it's a foreigner playing. So to me, I mean, obviously this is not the exact question, but sometimes to me it just matters who's playing for me. Maybe if they're not the best players, but it's who I'm a fan of. Usually, like even if it was Scarlet and she pushes that Zerg agenda, I still would be excited because it's a Scarlet group. So I would say just people I enjoy watching. Parting obviously for me, but I mean, I think I prefer craziness more than maybe a god group. Like SOS being in a group would always be fun, and you like as a caster you would like having SOS or Haas compared to someone maybe just going macro all the time. So I think crazy is usually better.
Can't disagree.
Yeah, I feel like it's easier to be hyped up as a caster too about the game. Where like if you have, which this is something I think you and Artosis, you and Tasteless do a really good job of, when the game is like really standard and it's kind of boring at the start and nothing's going on. You guys tangent into stories and random stuff all the time to make it entertaining. But I feel like the easiest games to watch would be like games that are just constantly weird and aggressive, and it's like people that are flashy, super flashy micro styles, and you just watch them clash against each other. That's always going to be like the most exciting to watch, I feel like.
So Hitman, No Regret, Beyond, and Parting.
Put Max Packs in there. He's creative right now. He's creative.
Okay. I like it. Thank you for the question, Julio. Say Zero asks, which StarCraft pro gamer would have the best chance of winning if they were thrown into an episode of Iron Chef? You are not allowed to use logic like, I know they can cook well, just based off how they play StarCraft, nothing else, and no, the secret ingredient is not cheese.
McCanning's looking like a good candidate. He watches Gordon Ramsay all the time now.
Every time I tune in on McCanning stream,
have I watched about 20 hours of Gordon Ramsay YouTube full episodes on my stream? Yes, I'm not going to deny it. But to answer this question, I would have to say Harstum. I was gassing him earlier, but Harstum would just know everything about everything. And he's got that voice that just kind of makes you feel like, okay, Harstum's telling me how it's done. I better listen in. He's got that soothing voice. He's kind of serenading me when he's not even doing it on purpose. So I'd say Harstum would win Iron Chef.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Nah.
That's the vote for you, man.
Okay, all right. Like I have watched a lot of Gordon lately. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm trying to think. The thing is, I saw that Parting was doing like cooking on stream, and people were making fun of him. But he said I can't use that. I have to use play style to decide.
I heard Hero Marine made a really bad pizza on stream.
Well, no. What happened was it wouldn't have been that bad, but then he didn't put. I don't think he put like the like underneath the pizza, so he couldn't move the pizza. So then it became a calzone. He had to fold it, otherwise it was all falling apart. Yeah, I think it was okay, but yeah, I mean he forgot an important
It's
part.
hard to make bad pizza in his defense too.
True.
That can be mean, man. I made food on stream like 2 years ago, and I was super excited about it. People really like it when I make it normally, and I showed the stream, and they're like, "It looks like prison food." I was like, "Hard on this. Come on."
I feel like
make?
anyone. Oh,
sorry.
What did you make?
Vibe? What'd you make?
No?
Oh, sorry. I made it was a shepherd's pie with it was like a bottom with like ground beef and like sauce, and then there was like a corn layer. There was a mashed potato layer instead of a pie crust, and then I topped it off with like Parmesan cheese and some it was like a 4 pepper spice or something, and then that was it. It was pretty good. I liked it.
Did you? I just learned that shepherd's pie is not what I thought it was. As a child, I was fed shepherd's pie, and it was instant mashed potatoes with chopped up hot dogs and corn. And then just recently, I learned that that is not the standard of shepherd's pie.
Yeah, not exactly.
That was sadness pie that I was eating as a child.
I'm not gonna lie, mine's not exactly like that, but it's close. So maybe
no, it sounded somewhat. It sounded somewhat similar, actually. I think the weakest player on any pro team, like creator, I'm like, you probably already have to cook for the team, right? So you're probably.
But then he's mad after a ladder session. He cooks you a terrible meal.
Yeah, damn. We need a winning session for him first. All right, Say Zero. I hope you enjoyed our answers. Red Gunner Guy asks, what do you do personally to grow the game? I tend to ask everyone I meet nowadays if you play Starcraft 2. Thoughts on 2 vs 2? Also, why Brood War TVP and TVP always mech? What do you do personally to grow the game, guys?
Stream.
Yeah, stream for all of us.
Yeah, I guess that's very true. And is some guides and stuff that I've seen. Yeah, that definitely helps. We already did talk about the 2 vs 2 a bit earlier.
I would say it's just kind of hard. The first question is just kind of hard because it's like, I don't know. It's like you can only do so much. Like if you didn't include streaming, like it's hard for me to naturally be like, like, hey, do you play StarCraft? It's just someone in real life or something. So I don't know. Like it's hard to inspire people to do anything, right? So even if I told them how great StarCraft was, it's hard to get to that conversation and then also tell them what to do. So I mean, it's hard. I mean, Red Gunner Guy runs some of the tournaments, right, Artosis?
Yeah, he runs a bunch of tournaments in the Singaporean scene. He's
so,
really working on growing it.
He's probably arguably doing more than most of us here because, I mean, obviously streaming is good, but I mean, that's probably the best way to grow it, the stuff like that, tournaments.
Yeah. I think if you're just someone who has any type of influence at all, if you just like reveal to people that that's what you like to do, if you're just like, oh, I just enjoy playing this game, whether it be for competing in tournaments or just playing it because I just enjoy playing it opposed to other games. That in itself, if you do that a lot, like for streaming, if you're daily recurring that's going to grow the game a lot more than I feel like most things you could do as a single person.
Yeah, I like that answer.
Yeah.
The last part of the question, why Brood War TVT and TVP always mech? It's because the bio in StarCraft 1 is a lot weaker than in StarCraft 2. And like in TVP, Reavers just... like one Scarab will kill your entire army. And then, I mean, Storm can be good too, but Reavers basically just completely stop bio play. And in TVT, it's like... the bio just isn't good. It's just, it's like in StarCraft 2, the bio can actually kind of fight against mech. In StarCraft 1, if I have like 10 tanks, I will kill a maxed out bio army for the most part. You just can't engage it. It's just.
I have a question for you, Artosis, kind of related to this. And you might not have an answer, but do you have a least favorite matchup, like out of Brood War and StarCraft 2? Is it like Brood War TVTs? You're like, what is your least favorite? And do you have a most favorite between them all?
Brood War PvP, I think, is the worst matchup between both games. It's just Brood War PvP is like very straightforward and very stupid looking a lot of the time. Occasionally you get it on a good map and it becomes a great matchup, but a lot of them are really bad. And some maps force like rock, paper, scissors scenarios with their openers. So I don't like Brood War PvP at all.
Sounds like old school PvP in StarCraft 2. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, kind of. Favorite matchup between them? I mean, I think TVZ in both is really good. TVZ is just the classic matchup, right? Where it's like a good TVZ in either game. You're like, damn, man, humans versus bugs. It's so sick.
I mean, I get it, but God. Yeah, I get a little bit triggered sometimes with everyone always says TVZ is their favorite. And I'm like, I get it. TVC is good, but come on, guys. Protoss. For me personally, I prefer all 3 Protoss matchups before I prefer TVZ.
Well, that's a perfect reason for you to be a Protoss player.
Yeah, well...
And it shows that you're just a little bit less smart than us.
Who doesn't want to watch mass carriers? Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, TVZ.
Okay, all right.
Okay, thank you for the question, Red Gunner Guy. Polly asks a short one. What's your verdict on Kaelaris' hosting of the show? What did he do better? what was not so great. He didn't say ass rash asks correctly, which I was really tilted by. No, Kaelaris, my honest opinion of Kaelaris, I think he's the best host in all of esports.
Wow.
I honestly think that he is just like, as far as a host goes, he fucking knows how to do it. I've worked with a ton of people and I've worked with him a ton, and it's so comfortable working with him. He's great. So big cheers to Kaelaris for hosting that. Thank you so much, buddy. Optional player asks, although most people disliked the cheese from Van Halen's 80s output, the solo in Dreams is just filled with emotions and wonder. The music in StarCraft 1 and 2 get a lot of love, but what moments in the music really stand out for you? Tony Levin's bass in StarCraft 2's Terran theme? The Protoss Choir?
I don't really know how to answer this one. I just know that, like, I think it's just because of, like, I changed as a person as I grew up, and like when I played Brood War, I didn't have all these playlists and stuff that I would listen to on the side. I would just listen to Brood War music, and it's like ingrained in me, and it like takes me back, like very nostalgia when I hear it, and I have a really fond memory of all of it. But when I play like StarCraft 2, I'm barely ever listening to the StarCraft 2 soundtrack, and I listen to like usually like a band or like an artist or something else like that. Usually, like I just don't really listen to gaming soundtracks as much until DMCA became a thing, and then I started listening to a lot more of them again. But yeah, I just usually listen to other music nowadays. I guess it's just difference of like how old I am, maybe.
It's hard to say you love any music after listening to it for 10 years in a row. Like most people, like they download StarCraft 2, they keep the music on for a few games, and then they start playing their own music eventually because it just gets really old really quickly.
I don't have a big opinion on this. I'll just say, I don't know what it is, but the Brood War sounds, the soundtrack and the sounds in Brood War, I don't know how, but they just dominate StarCraft 2's sounds. I don't know, just everything between the SCV mining. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Like, and I don't even play that much. Like, I play no Brood War now, and I don't watch much Brood War. But like, whenever I do, and whenever I did back in the day, it's just I don't know even what it is exactly, but something about the sounds of Brood War are just so much better than the sounds of StarCraft 2. I don't know. It's not even close to me. That's not just soundtrack, but just like I don't know, even just the way the SCV sounds, the way they're mining. I just like it so much more than StarCraft 2.
I agree.
It's I think it's almost more gritty in a way. The sounds. I don't know if that's a good way to describe it, but I know I agree with what you're saying. I think the sound is a bit better. I like the music a bit better too.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say my favorite. I like the Terran themes personally. The Terran theme that goes. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I can't do it, but I like the Terran themes.
I feel like they're just way more memorable too. Like I can literally like in my head think, what does a drone sound like in Brood War when it mines minerals? What does a probe sound like, and what does an SCV sound like? And I can just visualize it very clearly in my head how it sounds, but I don't really ever think about like the sound effect of workers mining in StarCraft 2.
Yeah,
like just something as simple as that.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
It's like soothing in Brood War somehow. I don't know what it is. It's like it's like soothing. I don't know.
All right. Good question there, optional player. I hope we did a good enough job answering it for you. Some drunk Canadian asks, after a weekend of nuking your own Vikings, you decide to take a trip down memory lane. What is your favorite sudden, oh my god, did that just happen? What the fuck? Game-ending moment in Pro StarCraft 2? I think Scarlet versus Bomber. Also, why has Canada done more for StarCraft 2 than America? Sending all the love from East Vancouver. It's your oh my god, what fuck just happened moment from StarCraft 2 Pro games.
I mean, I'll jump in. I think back in the day, I'm thinking Wings. I mean, there's honestly been a lot of them. Of course, MMA, killing his own command center, stuff like that. But I think my favorite moment from back in the day was back when I was a big Kiwi Kaki fan, and some of my IRL friends, we used to follow StarCraft 2. And he had that mothership. I think it was on Lost Temple or Shattered Temple.
That's literally the thing I was thinking of too.
That game, because maybe everyone was a big Kiwi Kaki fan back then, but that game, that's the one I really remember.
It came down to like one stalker, right? Yeah. Like just blinking under a Brood Lord.
Yeah, actually I rewatched it I mean, it's probably like a year ago I rewatched it, but it was actually so close. I kind of thought it was like a smash after the recall, after the Vortex, but like he had like almost nothing. It was like so close. He barely won it. I don't know. That was crazy.
It was amazing.
Yeah, that was literally. I was literally going to say exactly that. that
I was
exact
thinking
that
of the
exact
name
moment.
Lost Temple in my head to tell the same story when he was
Me too. I was
telling
like, I'm pretty sure it was on Lost Temple, and it was Kiwikaki, wasn't it, against Stefano?
Stefano,
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
And it was the double vortex, double archon toilet.
That's crazy. All of us had like similar vibe. Did you have a different one?
No,
You want to jump on the bandwagon with us and say that you were going to say that?
I think mine was memorable for the not just because of the game itself, but because of the atmosphere. Mine was Boxer versus Rain at MLG when all the Kespa guys came over. I think it was that year. And the crowd was like insanely large. They keep having like security come over being like, there's a fire hazard. So it was just like packed.
Oh, wow.
And people were standing everywhere. And like there was a nuke in that game that hit a bunch of Vikings, similar to like what happened last night. But it was like BC Viking versus BC Viking and constant nukes from one player. And one of the armies got nuked. And then like everybody was just freaking out. And it was like, you could feel like the rumble in your chest from everyone just like yelling so hard. It was crazy.
Awesome, yeah. I will say the only other thing is when Idra, whatever, tapped out versus MMA in that game with Husky and Day 9 casting. I remember watching that live, and that was legitimately like an oh my god, he killed his base, and then oh my god, Idra left. It was like I literally didn't even realize Idra left for a while. Like that game, honestly, that game might have had like an oh my god, more of an oh my god factor than the Kiwikaki game, just because it was like, I don't know, there was something magical about the players like Idra back then. You just follow the run, you check the bracket. There was something magical about that time.
Yeah.
Do you remember why Idra left that game though?
He thought he lost some mutas, but maybe didn't realize he had a bunch more mutas or something weird like that.
So like there was a Marine drop in one of his bases, and what Idra did is he boxed all of his drones and right-clicked it on a gas geyser. So they all bunched up on that gas geyser. And he later said he was like, I literally thought there were no drones at that base, but in fact there was like 16 of them on one gas geyser.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was Day 9 and Weed actually casting that. The chat has that right. Yeah. Yeah, that was memorable. I will say, sorry, I don't mean to make this drag forever, but like 2 months ago, I rewatched the Starcraft 2 HL channels, the highlight channels on YouTube. Like he has like best of 2010, 2013, 2014. I think it stops maybe 2014. But man, some of those ones, guys, you should go rewatch that. It's like 15 minutes. The best of Starcraft 2014, 2015, there were some unreal epic games. I don't know. There were some games you're going to completely forget about, and some amazing base trades. Like Artosis, you might remember this one, but I can't remember who was playing. But it was like 1DT and like a Stalker and an Archon, and I don't know. I can't even give it to you right now. But there were some honestly unreal epic games in there. So if you're looking for some epic games, check out a couple of those best of StarCraft.
Sick. Great question. Some drunk Canadian. Good answers. No, we mostly gave the same. Sap Scissors asks, spoiler, be honest, how much shit did Maru get for nuking his own army? Can he do it again? Was that an awesome end to an amazing game? I mean, I don't think he got too much shit. I think he was he was going to lose that anyways. So, right? Like those Vikings weren't going to clear that.
He got the correct amount of shit for somebody who nuked his own army.
Yeah. It's like it's really funny, and it was a sick ending. Although I would have, I guess it's more memorable to have the nuke happen. But I think that Parting was still going to have leftover units there, and he had a bigger bank, so it was like,
yeah.
I mean, the only thing he should only still get shit for is when he didn't get that draw versus Scarlet on whatever that King's Cove, I think. I don't know if you guys remember. He just didn't lift up a building.
Yeah,
that was like legitimately like one of the biggest blunders ever.
Yeah.
That was bad.
That was crazy, and there was so much money like in that tournament too. So it was like, oh
I
my
think he
god,
still won, but yeah, that was bad.
Yeah.
That was
if he had lost, though, that would be like,
yeah, that would not have been a good look. Thank God he won.
I think he only would have really gotten like a lot of shit if he would have basically been like super pissed off about it. Like he thought he had the game won, and then he just was like, "How the fuck did I throw that? I nuked myself," or something like that, where he just thinks it's like a massive mistake. But his reaction at the end of the game when he was just like laughing about it, I feel like it just made it just like way more like wholesome. I guess it was just like he was dead either way.
Oh man. How can you not laugh? You won 4 GSLs in a row. Who the fuck cares? It's whatever. I feel like I'd have no problems for the rest of my life if I had won 4 GSLs in a row as Terran. It's like, thanks for the question, Saft Scissors. Alessander asks, Artosis, what was your MMR higher or lower in the days when you slept on a closet floor compared to today's soft beds? We didn't really have MMR back then. I'm better at StarCraft now. I don't know. World rank was probably similar. I don't know. Exactly, sorry. Everyone, studies show that people make better decisions when they really, really need to use the restroom. Would you agree that you play better StarCraft under such stress?
No, not even in
Yeah,
the
no.
slightest. I would be 10 times more likely to all in a situation where all inning is not the
Yes.
best situation.
I'm
It
more
was just
likely to attack
distracting.
when I have to pee.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would just keep distracting you too. If you're like, it's like cramping, or you're just like, I really have to go, and you're like fighting it back. You're not thinking about the game anymore. You're just thinking about like other shit. Like, I hope it's
Well,
over.
well, maybe you're at a spot where you're like at an event and the game's about to start and you got to lay a deuce, but you can't really go. And then like midway through the game, you're kind of getting over it. It's kind of in the back burner of your mind. Maybe that's when you reach peak playability. What do you think? Anyone with
Maybe,
me?
yeah. Could be. Could be.
I don't know.
They're like, why is he not getting out of his booth right now? Come on, go over here, do an interview. Come on.
You're supposed to think more clearly too when you're a little bit hungry. So like, what if you're hungry and you have to pee? Like, get that combo going. It's like this is how
Okay,
Cyril
cool.
wins. He just always has to pee and he's always hungry.
Drinks a gallon of water and doesn't eat.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for the question, Alessander. A couple more left over here. Jeremy asks, "Hey cuties, first time asking a question on the show. I am a Diamond Zerg StarCraft 2 player, and I love starting my day of StarCraft with practice versus AI. But with time, I get that nervousness of playing against people over practicing too much my mechanics. Do you have some sort of experience with this, guys? Like, would it be better for me to just get into ladder and not worry too much about being perfect on my mechanics? Love you guys."
Dang, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I would say yes. I would say if you're, this is my honest opinion. If you're somebody who struggles with like constant anxiety, or you have stress or nerves, and you just feel like you can't play your best, and you're really paranoid about ruining your account, I don't think it's the worst idea ever to get a second account and just do as well as you can on that one. But it's like you can always think about it in the back of your mind that it's a throwaway account. Like if you do bad, who cares? It's your practice account. The only thing I would ask you not to do is not to make it a barcode. Just make it a real name. Make it practice with your name on it or something. It doesn't matter. But like it's just one of those things where people get in their head way too hard about like the fear of failure, and you're gonna fail more likely if you just don't play. So
Yep.
you just have to play the game, I would say.
I'll say what I say to my stream all the time when people are new and they want to come in. The two things I like to say is, Neeb, Sterile, Rainer, these guys didn't get better and become the best by not playing, by being afraid to play. And I get ladder anxiety is real, and I get it can be hard to ladder, but you're never going to improve unless you're playing the 1v1 ladder. And I'll also tell you, if you're new, especially to newer players, I mean, you're a diamond, which is obviously pretty good. Better than what I usually recommend this, but sometimes you're so afraid. People are so afraid to get into StarCraft 2. They're like, oh, it's been out so long, this or that. But once you played, 10, 15, 20 games, you're literally playing players who are your same exact skill level. So whether they've been playing consistently for the last 2 years, 3 years, or like 1 week like you, it really doesn't matter how long they've been playing. I don't go into any of my games and think, oh, wow, how long has this guy been playing? They're your same skill level. And there's really nothing to be afraid of. I mean, you're playing someone of your same skill levels. So, and just what I will also add is you do so much learning while you play. Me personally, I think, obviously I had some tournament results and success recently, but I've been a guy that's literally, what's cool about me is I literally just grind the ladder. I don't play customs. I don't do anything. I just play the ladder, and I just learn from the ladder and learn from the games. There's so much learning that happens from just playing. So, I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing to do warm-up games, but you're playing players who are your same skill level. Try not to care too much. I mean, sometimes you get and we all get egos over winning and stuff, but it's easier said than done to say just don't care, But I mean, at the end of the day, to improve, you just have to play.
My ladder anxiety was like dramatically reduced the first day that I just kind of sat down and played ladder for 8 hours in a row. Like I feel like exposure therapy, where you just do the thing you're afraid of doing a lot, can be really helpful. I will tell one of my tricks that I use to help with like MMR anxiety. Like you don't want to lose your MMR. You can always use a second account, like Vibe said, and you can play leapfrog with yourself on the ladder. So what I do is I'll play one account till I get to an MMR goal, and then I'll switch over to a second account, and I'll play that account until I pass the MMR of my first account. So I'm like leapfrogging over it, and then I'll switch accounts. So you're always going to have one account that is at your peak MMR. So you technically
That's
don't ever
cool.
lose, and it gets rid of the fear of losing. while, you know, allowing you to improve and just go up and up and up and up.
That's a really cool idea. I never heard of that before, but that makes a lot of sense, actually. You always are at your peak MMR. I think that would help people to get rid of it. And it's okay if you plummet down a little bit. You're like, it's
Yeah.
okay. I'm still
You
the
can
best
drop
I've ever
500
been.
MMR. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter to me anymore. Like I always know that.
Yeah.
I will say
cool.
a big trap people fall into sometimes, and literally even the best players do this, but like you will touch an MMR. Like you'll be on like those, you know, Europeans, or, you know, you'll touch like 6'6" after being like 6'3" forever. And then all of a sudden you consider yourself a 6'6" player. Like that happens to everyone. You know, you happens in 4'8", 4'3".
Yeah.
You touch that marker, and all of a sudden you're like, that's me. I'm 4'3". But really, you're probably just 4'1", and you've had a nice peak, and now you come back down. So, you know, sometimes you get so focused on, I mean, we all do it. You know, you're like, oh, wow, look at how high I got. But really, you know, sometimes you got to try to knock yourself down and just be more level about it.
Your skill is actually your entire range.
Yeah.
It's like, if that's your peak, if your peak is 6'6", it's your bell curve, right? And like the ends are you and the center's you. And normally you're closer to the center, but occasionally you go up there and occasionally you go down there. And that's just, that's actually what your skill is. It's not just a number.
Yeah.
Also, it should be mentioned, everyone gets around 50% win. So you're going to, no matter what, unless you are one of the absolute best players, Cyril has a much higher than 50% win rate, right? The very top of the ladder and the very bottom of the ladder are the ones that are not around 50% win. So the ladder anxiety almost doesn't make sense because it's going to get you against someone that's close to your range, and you're going to go about 50%. And that's just the way it is for 99.9% of all players, is we're all going to win about 50%.
You know what I love about that, Artosis, as well, is that sometimes what I say as well is that, you know, if you're in diamond, plat, gold, whatever, we feel the same things when we play the game. I mean, we feel the intensity, we feel the fact that we don't know what they're doing, we're scared, you know, you want to scout, you're not sure what you're doing, you're not sure what they're doing. Of course, you're experiencing it at a higher level and more is going on in our games, most likely. But that's the cool thing about Starcraft is, like, even if you're in diamond or plat, we're still feeling similar things, and we're winning at 50% clips. You know, it's like, it's a similar feeling we have while we play, even of course there's more going on in a Grandmaster game.
Totally. All right. That was a good question. I hope that helps, Jeremy. Last question. A Skill S asks, is Zerg's ability to build so many corruptors at once OP? Late game Terran and Protoss Terran armies feel too risky to build because if scouted, Zerg can just hold down the corruptor key and kill any half-built air army before it's ready. Void Rays are meant to counter corruptors, but no one ever manages to be left alone long enough to build many of them when Zerg can produce all their corruptors at the same time. Is this a problem? If so, what can be done?
Love the question, my friend. Love it. All about this question.
I think this is what I think about that. Okay, I think Zerg is, aside from maybe Terran Bio, but I feel like Terran Bio is complemented a lot by Mech. I think Zerg is the most susceptible to AoE in this game, and I think AoE in StarCraft 2 is insane. It's really, it has no limits. The units bunch up really hard, and if you have 5 units or if you have 50 units, they all get hit no matter what. So Zerg is, I feel like Zerg, the answers Zerg usually has is like overwhelming. So if you can't do that and you're throttled by how many corruptors you can make and you still get destroyed by AoE, I feel like the only way to really balance that is to like rebalance the stats of the units, in my opinion. I don't think Zerg would manage very well if you throttled, like, you can only make 10 instead of 30 or like whatever.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think, I mean, basically this is a question on, is the Zerg Remax too good, more or less? It's not just corruptors, like the Zerg Remax. And I mean, I don't know. I don't really think so, generally. I mean, because like if you're taking those late game fights, I mean, your army's going to be very strong as a Protoss still. And I don't know. I mean, yeah, Zerg is broken. Yes, I'm with you, buddy. I don't know. I don't think the Zerg Remax is that big of a deal.
Okay. Jason, are corruptors being able to be made in mass too good?
I mean, the thing about corruptors is they have a pretty big weakness in this. They can't like attack ground units. So if that were to happen to me, I would probably just build 2 Marines. However, assuming that that's not specifically what we're talking about, I honestly haven't lost to a Zerg Remax in a really long time. It's just really hard to get caught off guard when you're scouting properly, honestly.
Yeah.
Like if
And
they're going
plus
to
it-
remax 100% on Corruptor, like that's going to have to turn into Broodlords. So you have time to scout that and figure out that that's what's coming. So
I mean, the Corruptor ball is probably more versus Protoss,
yeah,
but I agree. I mean, the thing is, like, if they're remaxing and you're going to lose the game off the remax, you probably already took too much damage to the last fight, more or less. It's not really the remax, or they were mining way more than you for a lot of the game. I mean, it's
sometimes you
usually
can
not
take
just the remax.
Yeah.
sometimes you can take too good of a fight actually. And this has happened, and this is really stupid because okay, I'll give you an example. So I played a game versus Root Rob on ladder, and Mr. Rob decided he would make army that consisted of 90% Colossus. So as a Terran player, you know, he built Vikings to kill the Colossus. Perfect. So I took a fight and I killed every Colossus without losing a single unit. So what does Mr. Rob remax on? Units that are good versus Vikings. So if you want to fight an entire Charge Lot Stalker Archon army with 200 Vikings, you're not going to be able to do it. So all he did was literally take the worst fight in the history of StarCraft and then A-move me.
Okay, two things.
Yeah.
Two things. One, Vikings literally are nuts damage. They got insane damage. I'm not going to tell you they're terrible. Of course, versus that, maybe. Two, I want this replay because I feel like I'm not getting a fair shake of how this game went
You're
down.
getting a fair shake.
I feel like I'm not getting a fair shake. How
You're
this
getting
game
a
went
fair
down.
shake.
I need this replay,
I'm
man.
gonna get that replay, okay?
I need this replay.
Oh, I love it. Oh, calling him out on that. He's like, no. That didn't happen like you're saying.
Something's not adding up with this one. I'm going to tell you that right now.
You'll see. I'll show you.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Also, the last point I'd make for the guy who asked that question initially is I would say instead of thinking that Void Rays are the counter to Corruptor, especially if it's Mass Corruptor, I would incentivize you instead maybe to focus more on like Archon or something like that. It doesn't need to be microed very much. It's very aim movable, and it does way more damage than a Void Ray ever would to a mass pile of Corruptor because of AoE.
Yeah, one shot is like more than the Void Ray will ever do. Oh, okay. Great. That's all the Patreon questions, and that brings us to the end. Big cheers to all the Patreon supporters. Thank you guys. Thank you for the questions. Thank you everyone for supporting us on the Pylon Show's Patreon, on the Pylon Show. And of course our Patreon shoutouts, $1,000 tier Shane. Thank you so much. That is just gigantic. Really appreciate it. The God tier support. Astrofin, Jerry, Wang, and Blinker at that giant $100 tier as well. Thanks, guys. So we're gonna have more something to look out for. More Pylon Show content coming. We have some great ideas. We're not gonna say what they are yet. I have a list of these things where we'll announce some stuff soon, but we have some very cool Pylon Show episodes coming up. We're very excited about it. Cobra and I have been talking a lot. But yeah, this has been a great episode. This was actually a lot of fun. You guys are awesome. Why don't you let people know where they can find more of you, follow you, check you out? MCanning, let's start with you.
Just Twitch TV/MCanning. Usually streaming, hanging out, playing my ladder games, watching some YouTube videos, just hanging out, you know. Twitter.com/MCanningSC. And yeah, it's just great being here, man. It's been a while since I've been on the Pylon Show again. And of course, yeah, it's just great being here. Just thanks for having me. Thanks for talking about my DreamHack run because yeah, that was really special to me. I mean, Vibe and Jason will understand. I mean, when you're streaming so many games, I mean, usually StarCraft is a game that doesn't go your way. You lose a lot more, especially when you're playing professional matches. So to have a run like I did, it meant the world to me. Honestly, it was amazing. And yeah, thanks for having me. It was fun to be in here. It's nice being with you guys.
Great seeing you do well, man. You're a great personality in the scene. Hope you do it again. Vibe. How about you? Where can we find more Vibe?
You guys can check me out on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. All the same address. It's just @VibeLOL or /VibeLOL. It's the same thing on everything. I stream like every day. I literally am a mega grinder in terms of hours I put into the stream. So I'm almost always live. I barely like take days off. I don't know. I have a problem, I feel like. But yeah. Also, I would say if you're someone newer to StarCraft, maybe go check out the YouTube channel that I have. I put a ton of content for basically all ranges of skill. If you're bronze, brand new to the game, you've never touched an RTS in your life, or if you're someone who's just looking to get like, you know, a little bit better at the game by maybe just like taking a different perspective, that you might not think about the game in yourself for that way, that would be a great tool for you. I feel like a lot of people really like it. It's called Bronze Jam, basically. But yeah, always live all the time. And yeah, just thank you guys for having me on the Pylon Show again. I appreciate it. It's always fun being here, and it's a good cast. It was good stuff.
Yeah, great to have you, man. Jason, how about you? Where can people find more Juggernaut Jason, other than the ladder map?
You can find me at twitch.tv/JuggernautJason. Currently, I am trying to get all my races to 5.4K. We're playing Protoss right now, and we're literally on the last 100 MMRs, and we're going to be going over to Zerg. So if that sounds like something that would be interesting to you, you can always come by, and you'd be more than welcome. Thank you to Artosis and Vibe and MCanning. This is probably my favorite episode that I've been on the Pylon Show so far. Pretty good discussion, so...
Real quick, Jason, what is your least favorite thing about playing Protoss? Tell me. PvP Cannon Rush, what is it? What is something you really don't like about playing Protoss?
PvP Cannon Rush is significantly more difficult to hold than PvT Cannon Rush. I will say that.
Yes, there we go. All right, I can behind it.
That is probably actually the most painful thing, just because everybody does it, and it's just so annoying because there's like literally no perfect counter to it. Yeah.
All right, just that's all I wanted to hear. That's enough for me.
Right. All right, and thank you guys again. Big shout out to the Pylon Show team. This is not a single man or even a two-man effort. A lot of people help us out with the Pylon Show, so thank you, everybody. Yeah, other than that, I mean, I'll be back streaming and everything. Please follow the channel. Thanks for watching, guys. Pylon Show will be back next week. See you then.
Bye.